You got fresh braid on.
No, yeah, had to, man.
It looks good, man.
Come on.
Napped up, man. For a couple
That's
days.
fast, bro. You did 20 minutes?
Well, you know we're hot, right? We know what we're live right now.
Hey, shalom, shalom.
We're flowing. Shalom, everybody. How y'all doing? Hope everybody's doing well out there in Israel. Shabbat shalom. Shout out of isbhpk Houston, isbhpk Virginia, isbhpk Rochester, New York. Shalom Kal Cobb teaching in Guatemala. The brothers and sisters out there in California. A couple brothers out there in Atlanta. Hope everybody's doing well. We're about to get into our Sabbath class. We're trying to get ourselves back into the routine from our gathering last week. We should be pretty consistent from here on out with the class. I know we had missed yesterday because things just kind of stretched out longer than we imagined with our work. But here you go. That's not really doing it. Okay. So what we're gonna do is start with our prayers and then roll with the rolling class. All right? There we go. That's much better. Shalom. Yes,
Might be a bad cold.
that's not a bad cold, is it? Okay, Israel, Amajim. It's not gonna work, bro. You gotta get that hotter, man. We get it. Make it a little hotter. Here's it's gonna be. Barak Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua.
Barak Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua.
Hahawa. Nathal Lanawa. Award. Zayawam. The water.
Aman. Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us light this day. Thanks, so be it.
Okay. Barak Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua.
Barak Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua.
Hahawa. Nathal Lanawa. Rayach. Nayachacha. The water.
Aman. Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us sweet savor. Thank you, so be it.
Amajim Wapanya Yerushalayim.
Stand and face Jerusalem.
Barak Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua.
Barak Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua.
Hahawa. Nathal Lanawa. Hashabbath. Bashalom. The water.
Aman. Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the Sabbath in peace. Thank you, so be it.
Psalms 121. Anashya, Ayanyamya, Hahoyam, Ma'aya, Yabu'a, Isaiah, Yabu'a, Ma, Yahweh, Sha'aisha, Shemaiah, Wa'aratiza, La'a, Yonathan, Lamawat, Regalia, Yala'a, Nawam, Shashamaya, Hana, Yala'a, Nawam, Wala'a, Yashan, Shashawamar, Yashua, Yahweh, Shemaiah, Yahweh, Zezalia, Ayo, Yanyamya, Yad, Hashemash, Yala'a, Hakaya, Ayawam, Wala'a, Harabana, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashemaiah, Makol, Rai, Yashemaiah, Napasha, Yahweh, Yashemaiah, Hawalakia, Wabu'aya, Ma'aitha, I will love.
Amen. Psalms 121 in English. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Yasharallah shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Israelite Credo. Shema Yasharallah, Yahweh, Eloheinu, Yahweh, Echad. Shema Yasharallah, Yahweh, Eloheinu, Yahweh, Echad. Shema Yasharallah, Yahweh, Eloheinu, Yahweh, Echad.
Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one Lord.
Lord's Prayer. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayab, Shemkab, Yahweh, Olakwatkav, Taba'ah, Ratizaka, Hayab, Aisha, Baratizah, Kawa, Hayab, Bashemayim, Latalanawa, Lacham, Ko, Yawam, Wasilachana, Chawatina, Kaslachana, Chawatina, Wala'ah, Tabi Anam, Wanasawat, Abo, Hawashina, Mayan, Rai, Kayab, Lakat, Amalakwa, Laha'ara, Lahathaparat, La'a Waramya. Amen.
Matthew chapter 6 verse 9. After this manner therefore pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen.
Ten Commandments. La'ah, Yahaya, Lakab, Alahaya, Achayim, Ayo, Hanya.
Thou shalt have no other powers before me.
2. La'ah, Ta'ayna, Lakab, Fasal, Wala'ah, Ta'aybadu.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, nor serve them.
Number 3. La'ah, Falach Wacha, Sham, Yahweh, Bashawa.
Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy power in vain.
4. Zakor, Hayawam, Hashabat, Lakwanashwa.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
5. Kabad, Abaka, Ya'amaka.
Honor thy father and thy mother.
6. La'ah, Taratazah.
Thou shalt not kill, murder.
7. La'ah, Thana'ah.
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Number 8. La'ah, Thaganah.
Thou shalt not steal.
Number 9. La'ah, Ta'ayna, Shakur.
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Number 10. La'ah, Tachamad, Ko, Asherah, La Ra'aika.
Thou shalt not covet anything with thy neighbors.
Barak Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahshai.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the law.
Okay. Israel, you shopping?
Everybody sit.
Okay. Last week we briefly went over King Asa. He was Judah, Southern Kingdom. We're going to briefly go back over a few scriptures with him so we can get reacclimated. It's been like 2 weeks. I don't think we should sit back and go on to start at the middle of the story. So we're going to start initially at 1 Kings chapter 15, verse 9 through 15. Karai, let's start it off. No, let's start it off. I'm sorry.
Ma'awala, Shah Shabbatah, Bani Hawada, Bani Yasharala.
Ma'awala, Shah Shabbatah, Bani Hawada, Bani Yasharala.
And much. Bro. Yahweh Hashem Yashar Barakatah.
Yahweh Hashem Yashar Barakatam.
Yashmatah. Okay.
15, correct.
So yeah, 1 Kings chapter 15, verse 9 through 15. Then we're going to jump to verse 25 through chapter 16 and 4. It'll all make sense when we get there.
9 through 15 and 20.
Just start with 9 through 15 and we'll go from there.
Covered. 1 Kings chapter 15, verse 9 reads, And in the 20th year of Jeroboam, king of Israel, reigned Asa over Judah. And 41 years reigned he in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Ma'akah, the daughter of Abishalom.
So Absalom. So this woman that he married was in the family lineage of Absalom. And if she was in the family lineage of Absalom, then that means she had ties to the king of Syria. That means something. Okay? She has ties to the king of Syria because when David dealt with Absalom's mother, she was a princess of Syria. Okay? So keep that in mind. Read on.
Verse 11. And Asa did that which was right in the eyes of the Lord, as did David his father. And he took away the Sodomites out of the land.
It's important. That matters.
That means they were there before the land. They were in the land, hanging out, enjoying themselves.
Yes, there was festivals out.
There was marching.
They were marching. They were fighting for rights.
Pride Fest.
There was a lot of festivals going on out. But don't forget who did it. Who brought it in? It was Rehoboam. Rehoboam opened the door, right?
For them to come through.
For them to come through. You open the door.
He had no problem.
He had bad policies out.
Yeah. I can't say they were marching. That was a joke.
Yeah, that was a joke.
But they were
exaggeration.
in the land.
And which means they weren't being eradicated. There was a I don't know what this one is. It's just a commentary for the Old Testament. I wanted to bring out one quick point when it said he was right in the eyes of the Heavenly Father. Read on in verse 12. I'll get there.
From the top. And he took away the Sodomites out of the land and removed all the idols that his fathers had made. And also Ma'akah, his mother, even her he removed from being queen, because she had an idol in a grove. And Asa destroyed her idol and burnt it by the brook Kidron. By the high places were not removed.
But the high places.
Salaki. But the high places were not removed. Nevertheless, Asa's heart was perfect with the Lord all his days.
Hold that. I'm reading this forward. Not a forward, it's just an explanation of a verse. It said Asa removed some of the high places, but not all of them. Nevertheless, his heart was fully committed to the Lord all his life. Now we're gonna explain some things down the line that still showed flaw in him. But for the most part, he was a good king, a good man that was willing to put the Most High first, and he did put certain efforts into relying on the Heavenly Father. Last week when we went over it, what I'm not going to do is go into the victory they had against the Ethiopians, because they did win a battle against the Ethiopians, and they built up their gold and their inventory from that scenario, their storehouse. But he did have faith at that time to fight the Ethiopians, and they won. We did go over that 2 weeks ago. That he did win a battle, and he used faith and utilized faith in order to accomplish that mission. Read verse 15.
Verse 15. And he brought in the things which his father had dedicated, and the things which himself had dedicated.
He dedicated certain things by the victory he had against those Ethiopians. Those are the spoils of war. Read on.
Into the house of the Lord, silver and gold and vessels.
So don't forget when Rehoboam was taken out of power, those Egyptians did what King Shishak did. What? I mean, what did King Shishak do with Rehoboam?
Basically, like ransacked it. Like they just.
No, first of all, Rehoboam left the door open, left the gates
Oh,
open.
yeah, I remember that.
He surrendered.
Yes.
Yeah, but what he leave behind?
They
They
took
all
the pillars with the pillars with
the
the
memorials of
with the vaginas engraved in.
They took all
Right.
the gold from King Solomon's
Talking about
temple,
the
right?
pillars with the private parts.
Yeah,
engraved in.
listen, they sat back here.
memorials of the feminine.
They put memorials of lady parts all around the city. Listen,
They mocked it.
and they stole the gold from the temple. That was the point of what I was saying.
When they
But that part that hits you was the image, the lady parts all around the city.
That was a message.
That's what they
Lady
called it.
parts.
Yeah, you missed that.
yeah, you weren't here.
You got to go back and check it out. That was like 3 weeks ago. Listen, the Egyptians put lady part symbols in the city.
It's the birth canal which man come out of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
And they put a bunch of images of birth canals to show that the men wasn't about nothing.
Wow.
And they were scared. They were scared to fight that. Anyway.
Nobody put up a resistance on it. No
Is
crying or
that-
nothing.
Is that a birth canal? Yeah, there was a whole bunch of birth canals going on out there in Israel, clowning out. But now, so what's happening is the entire storehouse was robbed and taken. All the gold was pillaged. Now Abijah and Asa started restocking the temple with gold and silver and higher end items, trying to reestablish the kingdom to be something. So let that verse go. Now we're going to jump to verse 25. We'll get back to 16 and stuff, but I want to read verse 25.
Con. Verse 25. And Nadab, come. And Nadab, the son of Jeroboam, began to reign over Israel in the 2nd year of Asa, king of Judah.
So once again, the first 2 years of Asa's reign were the last 2 years of Jeroboam's reign. Jeroboam ran the northern kingdom a long period of time. Okay, he was Ephraim. His son Nadab comes in. He only reigns for 2 years. Read on.
And reigned over Israel 2 years. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord, and walked in the way of his father, and in his sin wherewith he made Israel to sin.
So he just kept the party going. He kept the same sin going, the same negativity that his dad did. Read on.
And Baasha, the son of Ahijah of the house of Issachar.
Issachar in the house, huh?
Yes, sir.
Issachar tried to sit back here and raise up and raise the tumult against Nadab. Read on.
Conspired against him. And Baasha smote him. Baasha smote him at Gibbethon, which belonged to the Philistines. For Nadab and all Israel laid siege to Gibbethon.
So obviously, Nadab and the Israelites were fighting against the Philistines, and Baasha, while they was fighting the enemy, ended up doing a damn Brutus moment. Brutus and Caesar. Exactly. So he fifth ribbed him without him knowing. Now we're gonna read how this happens. Matter of fact, read on.
Come. Verse 28. Even in the 3rd year of Asa, king of Judah, did Baasha slay him, and reigned in his stead. And it came to pass, when he reigned, that he smote all the house of Jeroboam.
So not only did he kill Nadab, he had to wipe out all the royal lineage. Why? Because Baasha wasn't royalty. Baasha was Issachar from another tribe. So in order to sit back and sustain your claim, you had to wipe out all the males.
Yeah.
All the royal lineage to justify your position.
He might have been cartel.
So you saying there's Laeme back during the kingdom?
In there,
it was Laeme. Come on. That was the first Laeme. That's not me. That's what he said. That's not me. That's El Chapo.
That was the first El Chapo.
First Pablo Escobar.
Crazy.
Pablo Escobar.
But see, that's Asher.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, he is Asher. He is Asher, right?
So anyway, let's continue, man.
God. He left not to Jeroboam any that breathed, until he had destroyed them, according unto the saying of the Lord, which he spake by his servant Ahijah the Shilonite.
So don't forget, that was a prophecy that was spoken to Jeroboam. Remember when his son was sick and he sent his wife over to the prophet? The same prophet that told Jeroboam that he was going to be the king was the same prophet when he was blinded. He was getting of old age. He said, listen, man, the only one of your sons that I kind of like is the one that's about to die when he gets home. He had a decent spirit. The rest of them going to die in the streets. They're going to be eaten by dogs. They're going to die a brutal damn death. And this is the prophecy of that statement. What's that?
Let's say one thing, and it does show, and this ain't a deep point, but it still shows the Most High control of all things. In our kingdom, in our affairs, the scripture says the Most High rules in the kingdom of men.
Yep.
This is the Most High. He'll say an event before it happens, so you can know that the Most High is the one that controls all events.
Even in a negative empire, even in a negative kingdom, he's still in control of how long they're supposed to stay in power and how much sin they're allowed to get away with. Okay, so let's keep going.
God, verse 30. Because of the sins of Jeroboam, which he sinned, and which he made Israel sin, by his provocation wherewith he provoked the Lord power of Israel to anger. Now the rest of the acts of Nadab and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel?
Now hold that. No. Yeah, let's go read some of Josephus. Matter of fact, let me see. Yeah, let's read some of. Let's read some of the Josephus real quick. Then we'll jump back to this. It is Josephus, book 8, chapter 12, paragraph 3.
Book 8, chapter
12, paragraph 3.
Okay.
8, 12, 3. Yes, sis. Asa was with the southern kingdom. Nadab was with the northern kingdom. But they were only at their leading for 2 years. Then Baasha took over and killed Nadab. Then he took over from there. So we there? Karai, let's read that.
Antiquity of the Jews, Book 8, Chapter 12, Paragraph 3, page 235. Whenever you're ready. It says, and this was the state of Asa, king of the 2 tribes. I now return to Baasha, the king of the multitude of the Israelites who slew Nadab, the son of Jeroboam, and retained the government. He dwelt in the city Tirzah, having made that his habitation, and reigned 24 years. He became more wicked and impious than Jeroboam or his son. Wicked and impious than Jeroboam or his son.
What he's showing is every new regime that comes in, they have to be more ruthless than the previous regime. That was the only way he was able to get in power in the first place. You're starting to see the deterioration even more of the leadership. Just like you saw in Rome, it was the same concept. The first set of I think 6 Roman emperors all the way through Nero, had bloodlines connecting through Augustus. After that, you didn't have to have the royal bloodline. The next thing was you just had to be part of the Senate. Then after that phase, then it went, you had to be a Roman senator. Then it was, after that phase, you just had to be a senator of the provinces of Rome. And then by the time everything was falling apart, you just had to have the backing of the army. You started seeing a deterioration of what it took to be king. Now we're here even in the same situation. The Most High allowed Baasha to get into power, but it wasn't like a prophet came to Baasha and said, listen, man, you're the next to reign. Baasha just took his spot by being treacherous and cutthroat. So he's showing you the deterioration of even what it takes to get to that position. Now it's damn Rome. It's who's the strongest, who's the most powerful, who's the most ruthless, and who's the most ambitious. Yes, sir?
Baasha, well, he was like a general in the army?
Yeah, he was part of the army. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Let's go. Let's do it.
He did a great deal of mischief to the multitude, and was injurious to the Most High, who sent
He was injurious to the Most High. He did things that truly offended the Most High. That was out of bounds. And listen, Jeroboam was already tripping. Jeroboam was putting calves. He was going crazy, making other Israelites priests besides Levites. Now again, according to the law, you couldn't do any priestly duty unless you were Levi. So Jeroboam was completely out of bounds. For them to say that this guy was injurious, how much more was he doing? Keep going.
Who sent the prophet Jehu and told him beforehand that his whole family should be destroyed, and that he would bring the same miseries on his house which had brought that of Jeroboam to ruin.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he had been made king by him, he had not required his kindness by governing the multitude righteously and religiously,
Mm-hmm.
which things, in the first place, tended to their own happiness, and, in the next place, were pleasing to the Most High, that he had imitated this very wicked king Jeroboam. And although
he took the conscious effort to be like this guy,
and then he took the template, and he was more ruthless than the template that he was given. That's how you do it. Right on.
And although that man's soul had perished, yet did he express to the life his wickedness. And he said that he should therefore justly experience the like calamity with him, since he had been guilty of the like wickedness. But Baasha, though he heard beforehand what miseries will befall him and his whole family for their insolent behavior.
So he's like, listen, either the same way you wiped out this man's family line and there's no evidence of him ever again, your wife, your kids, your children, your families, they're going to go through the same thing. It's that narco shit. Don't every cartel person that comes into power, doesn't he know he's going to go through the same thing, that the same way he took out the people before him, he's going to die the same way?
that was thou sowest, that should thou
But
reap.
you know what the person always says? I'm smarter than that. I'm not going to let this happen. I'll make different moves. I'll fortify this.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's, listen, the prophet told him what's going to happen to him. And what's he saying? Nah, I hear what you're saying, but I can work my way through this. Keep my friends close. Keep my enemies closer. All the little Jake philosophies that you think is going to keep you protected. This is what Israel was thinking. Read on.
But Baasha, though he heard beforehand what miseries will befall him and his whole family for their insolent behavior, yet did not he leave off his wicked practices for the time to come, nor did he care to appear to be other than worse and worse till he died.
Means he kept doubling down on his actions. Because in his head, that's how he got there. Well, I'm going to stop what I'm doing now. I got this power by being negative. Read on.
Nor did he repent of his past actions, nor endeavor to obtain pardon of the Most High for them.
It's crazy, bro.
But did as those do who have rewards proposed to them, when they have once in earnest set about their work. They do not leave off their labors. For thus did Baasha, when the prophet foretold him that he would come to pass, grow worse, as if what were threatened, the perdition of his family and the destruction of his house, which are really among the greatest of evils, were good things.
That's crazy.
and as he were a combatant for wickedness, he every day took more and more pains for it.
Listen, he says he was a combatant for wickedness. He said, I'm ride or die on his left side. I'm ride or die. I chose my side. I know I'm gonna die. I don't care.
Sad.
But you know, he was hot. He was all the way. If you're gonna do dirt, you might as well go all the way in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Does that scripture ties in with men love darkness rather than light?
Oh, yeah. But he wasn't double-minded at all.
He wasn't double-minded.
He's like, man, listen, I'm about this life. I'm about these drugs. I'm about these streets. I'm about this killing.
Yeah.
I'm about these sacrifices. I'm about this power.
Christ said, "Be hot or cold." He chose his side.
He chose it, bro. There was no mixing him out, and that's what made him so potent.
It's like a perfect contrast to see the motivation and when someone goes to commit to the mindset.
Yeah.
You can take that and use it for, in a positive light.
But that's why he was so wicked. He was so wicked because he kept doubling down. It's almost like the Most High gives you opportunities to change your course. Throughout your life, he's giving you chances to make adjustments. What do you do with those chances? Every time he went further left. Like it didn't matter. It's insane, bro.
Scripture on that. Second Corinthians, 13 and 5.
2 Corinthians 13 and 5.
Mm-hmm. 2 Corinthians 13 and 5.
2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. Examine yourselves.
That's why you always got to do what?
Examine yourselves.
Because sometimes when your heart is already hard, you already made your mind up. You already made an avid commitment to doing negative, or you're doing things your way, and nothing can steer you from your direction that you've proposed your mind to be on. Nothing can turn you off your course. Some people have already made their mind up, so you got to examine yourself so that to make sure that you're still flexible for change, that you can still be molded. Because sometimes when people have made their mind up, they've already set their course in a certain direction. He said, examine thyself. Go ahead.
Whether ye be in the faith.
Go ahead.
Prove your own self.
That's why you got to make sure that you're in the right place and the right state of mind at all times. Because at any time, any person could have a hard heart and have their mind locked in and set on negative and unconvincible and unsteerable. Even though many. This is not just a prophet coming to this man telling them this, but this happens on a regular basis when brothers give brothers counsel. Hey brother, I wouldn't do that if I was you. Hey brother, that's not a good decision. But sometimes people are bent on their thought process and they cannot be converted from their way. Read on.
Prove your own selves.
And that's why he said, prove your own selves. Go ahead.
Know ye not your own selves?
He said, don't you understand how this spirit can jump on you too? Don't you understand how this spirit can jump on anybody? Anybody's susceptible to this particular spirit. Anybody can have their heart hard already, or their mind set on a particular course, and they don't want to change. They can be locked in on a road to destruction. Read on.
Know ye not your own selves?
Go ahead.
How that Yahushua is in you?
He says, you always got to feed and nourish the part of Christ that's in you. Read on.
Except ye be reprobates.
Except ye be what?
Except ye be reprobates.
Except you be a reprobate. That reprobate mind can jump in anybody. And what we're reading about now is that this man has fully engulfed himself in a reprobate mind. Meaning he's going to despise and contemn righteousness. It's not only that he's not been warned, he doesn't care to do righteousness. He's going to despise righteousness. And that mindset could jump on anybody.
Yep.
Everybody got to make sure that they don't give themselves to that reprobate mind. Because once you're fixed in on negative, nothing can take you off that course. And that's what we're reading about right now.
Now I want to take that. Let's hold what you got in Josephus, and let's go back in the scriptures. It was 1 Kings 15, and I think it's 32. We're going to read to chapter 16 and 4. Because there's something I want to bring out of this. And I think it's important.
You want to start at verse? You want me to start at verse
15
30?
and 32.
Okay. Come on, verse 32. Come on. 1 Kings chapter 15, verse 32 reads, "And there was war between Asa and Baasha."
So now we're realizing once Baasha got into power in the north, and he started doubling down on his negative, he started focusing his eyes on Asa down in the south. Read on.
And there was war between Asa and Baasha, king of Israel, all their days. In the 3rd year of Asa, king of Judah, began Baasha, the son of Ahijah, to reign over all Israel in Tirzah. 24 years.
So listen, he reigned for 24 damn years of wickedness, huh?
Baasha?
Yeah. He had 24, man. Listen, 24 years of just doubling down on wickedness. Read on.
And he did evil in the sight of the Lord, and walked in the way of Jeroboam, and in his sin wherewith he made Israel to sin. Then the word of the Lord came to Jehu, the son of Hananiah, against Baasha, saying,
Hanani, yes.
Hanani, against Baasha, saying, for as much as I exalted thee out of the dust.
So once again, what is the Most High saying through the prophet to Baasha? He said, I brought you from what? From nothing. That's another reason why, in his head, I'm not going to stop doing this negative. I'm not going back to what? Poverty. I'm not going back to poverty. I'm not going back to my hometown.
That is some narco stuff.
Huh?
That is some narco.
That's narco stuff, bro. He said, I'm not going back home, bro. To these streets.
I can't go back. That's what he said.
Give me some Tony Montana. That was Tony Montana. That's Manessa. Come on, you gotta get your tribes right. So you're throwing the towel at the owner of the dishwasher shop, the Cuban coffee spot.
More sacrifices.
Remember he did that. Remember he was tired of washing dishes and stuff. He was tired of cleaning people's stuff. Man, he said, "Forget this, man. You're gonna make us quick money, man." That's what happened, huh? He was tired of having nothing in the refugee camps, huh?
That's real, bro.
Then he went all in, huh? And he had to lose his boy, huh? And then he kept doubling down. It's the same story. Now, Most High is like, I brought you from nothing. But that's the exact same reason why this guy Baasha was like, I'm not going back, huh? It's NBA Baasha. Never broke again, Baasha.
That's good.
But it's the truth, huh? Because this is where his mind is. I'm not going back to being broke and having nothing, huh? And in his mind, the only way to get on top is to do dirt. And the way to stay on top is to do dirt.
Yeah, that's right.
This is the mindset of the people. This place was completely corrupt, huh? So, read verse 2 out.
Come, for as much as I exalted thee out of the dust, and made thee prince over my people Israel, and thou hast walked in the way of Jeroboam, and hast made my people Israel to sin, to provoke me to anger with their sins. Behold, I will take away the posterity of Baasha.
I'm going to take your family down. I'm going to take all your children out. I'm going to take your women out. Nobody's going to know your name anymore. That's the most dishonorable way to go down. That's the most dishonorable way to go down. Is how you die and that you have nobody else to remain in your bloodline.
That's crazy, bro.
But that's because that's what he did to Jeroboam. He had completely eradicated Jeroboam's bloodline. That's the most shameful thing. And he says the same way is going to happen to you, Baasha. Is that?
Did that include his little kids?
Of course. Your whole posterity.
Nobody left.
Your babies, there's nobody left that can say they're attached to your name.
Wow.
But this is how the Most High eradicates you out of there. So the crazy thing, he'll let you live for a period of time, and you're done. So he had 24 more years on earth that he actually had a family line and a family name. And that was it. So, read on. Verse 3 again.
I got to pull one scripture. Wisdom of Solomon 5:14. It says, for the hope of the ungodly is like the dust that is blown away with the wind, like a thin froth that is driven away with the storm. I said, like the smoke which is dispersed here and there with the tempest, and passeth away as the remembrance of a guest that tarrieth but a day. So the wicked are forgotten. The wicked aren't remembered. And the Most High is showing you the way He does that is by taking away their posterity, taking down their accomplishments, or destroying their accomplishments.
It has been.
Yep.
Exactly.
It has been, never will be.
Yeah.
But then all your children are gone too. So there's nobody to sit back and sustain your name. Anyway, so we're good on that?
Yeah, that's cool.
Let's continue.
It's like Hitler, right? Ain't nobody with that last name running around nowhere.
Well, that don't mean his family's gone.
They changed their name. Kinda, sort of. Yeah.
Kinda, sort of, but I think there's some people out here that
The name
have
is gone.
Hitler genes in them. I don't deny that. And that policy's still out here, especially in Ukraine. They are riding about. They're about that.
The Greeks too.
Listen, look into Stefan Bandera. STPAN Bandera. He was pro Hitler 1,000%, and they still follow his teachings in Ukraine. He was a Ukrainian aficionado out there, and he was pushing the same things that Hitler was pushing, and he is an idol, and he's idolizing Ukraine. Stefan Bandera. I think it's either STEPAN or STEPHAN, but it's with an A. And you look him up. He has a slicked head out. He has this pure Nazi look out. And these Ukrainians walk around here praising that. They sing Stefan Bandera songs out.
Wow.
You know, during World War II era, the Russians ended up snatching him and killing him. But he's idolized out there. And so when they say that the Russians are going out there for their special military operations and they're there to end the Nazi approach, they really are. If you sit back and really look into how Ukraine operates, they really do have the same. They still, especially Western Ukraine, they really use the foundations of Stefan Bandera to this day. The same emblems, you know, those little
Two lightning bolts.
lightning bolts, but they're like red and black. The flag is red, and the markings are black. They're really about it. So look it up. Look it up. And if y'all want, you can watch this movie by it's called Ukraine on Fire. Ukraine on Fire, and it's by the guy who made Scarface. What's the dude's name?
Al Pacino.
No, the guy who made it.
Oh,
Al
who made
Pacino.
it.
Yeah. Hey, what's the producer, man? I always forget this guy's name. He turned activist like in the 2000s.
Not Spielberg?
No, hell no. Spielberg, no way. That's pretty Jewish right there, my friend.
Not the.
If y'all look it up, can y'all look it up for me?
Martin Bregman?
No, it wasn't Scorsese, right?
No, it wasn't Scorsese.
It was,
Brian De Palma?
No.
It's not the one that did Pulp Fiction, is it? Tarantino?
nah,
Not
this
him?
is older.
Gosh, I'm.
This is early 80s.
Oliver Stone?
Yes.
Oh yeah, they killed him, didn't they?
No, he's alive. He does a lot of documentaries about what's happening in the Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
But Oliver Stone, it's a movie that he made, really good, and explains. This movie was made before all these wars were starting, and it explained that Ukraine's history starts around Nazi time, and their quote unquote relevance started at around that time. It goes back to Stefan Bandera, and they've been pushing Nazism since then, and it hasn't changed. The CIA knows it too. Everybody knows it, but the media doesn't push it. Anyway, let's continue though in Antiquities of the Jews. I want to read.
We were
still finishing.
Okay. I'm kind of read 1 Kings 16 and 3. Yes.
1 Kings chapter 16 verse 3 reads, "Behold, I will take away the posterity of Baasha, and the posterity of his house, and will make thy house like the house of Jeroboam the son of Nebat. Him that dieth of Baasha in the city shall the dogs eat, and him that dieth of his in the field shall the fowls of the air eat."
Okay, so he's gonna die a real dirty death. He's gonna die in the streets, and the dogs are gonna eat him. He's just saying the same thing that was happening to Jeroboam is gonna happen to Baasha. He didn't care. He doubled down, and that's what Josephus said. Now, what I want to do is read the last part of the Josephus in Book 8, Chapter 12, Paragraph 3. It's the last part of it. It says, and assaulted.
Line 303 says, and at last he took his army and assaulted a certain considerable city called Ramah, which was 40 furlongs distance from Jerusalem.
40 furlongs is like an eighth of a mile. So it's not far away. So what he's doing is he invaded the south. Not only did he have his own northern area taken care of, he invaded the south. Now this is a direct attack against Asa. Read on.
And when he had taken it, he fortified it, having determined beforehand to leave a garrison in it, that they might thence make excursions and do mischief to the kingdom of Asa.
So what he's saying is, if I can sit back and take out Ramah, I can put garrisons in it, and I can build up the walls. I can always pop in and pop out, and I'm close enough to touch Asa. I'm close enough to touch him and create problems for him in Jerusalem. I can pop in, I can pop out. I can go to surrounding cities. I can rob him. I can make this guy really uncomfortable. Is that
similar to like setting up like the embassy and whatnot?
No, a garrison is a fort.
Yep.
Okay.
It's like a military fort.
Yep.
Okay.
That's like what America does doing right now in Russia. Trying to put a
Other
fort,
countries.
a military presence right there next to Russia.
Okay.
But what Shamswan is saying is they're putting the military presence. I'm putting military bases, weapons, armaments, armies. Where I can sit back here on a given day and shoot at an army against you. Because what makes things difficult in war is logistics. It's one thing to fight somebody, but it's nothing to get tanks, armaments, planes, destroyers, battleships. I got to get all these things in position before the real shit starts. This is why even when Russia announced like in September that they're going to sit back here and bring 300,000 past military men in the mix, you think, oh man, the sky's going to fall tomorrow. But you got to sit back here, get all these guys trained, retrained.
Yeah.
And a train don't last as long as it was if you're a new person, but it's going to get you up to date, reestablish you maybe 2 to 3 weeks. Then they gotta get your paperwork right. They gotta train you. Then they gotta get you out into the certain. Then they gotta find out where they want to disperse 300,000 people.
That's a lot of work.
That's a lot of moving parts. But then with those 300,000 people, you got battalions, you got tank divisions, you got airplane pilots, you got some Navy people, and getting 300,000 people in position while you have an open draft. Because you might have 300,000 people that you're developing on a short term, but you're also developing a $500,000 on the back end. So that's another 3 months of training. Because once you get these guys in position, once they start fighting, you have another wave of guys coming back in.
Reinforcements.
But logistically, the amount of time, supplies, food, you
gotta
gotta feed these people.
You gotta feed these guys.
Yes, you gotta feed them. You gotta fuel them. You gotta bring fuel to sustain these people.
Medical.
Yes, all medical, buildings, all the infrastructure. Yes, sir.
We used to set up the deployment lines and just to deploy like 500 people. Like if they were trying to get out in like 48 hours time, trying to get like anywhere from 150, I guess, to 300 people, man, it would take just weeks of preparation. Just get everything set up, all the doctors, the whole line.
Yeah, you got immunizations, shots, medicals. You got to do.
Man.
You got to make sure that you got supplies, and then and also everybody's not doing the same job. You got some guys that are doing power generators. Some guys are doing mechanics. Some guys. You got to train guys for different procedures. Everybody's not just holding the gun. That's primary, but everybody's got to be trained for different attributes of the military.
Some get disqualified, so you got to find replacements for those who can't even, are not fit to even go in the first place and find out issues.
Yeah. So
Yep.
it's a tedious process, man. It's taxing.
And that's why you don't see any significant stuff happening yet. Because the work it takes to even get these things set up, it takes weeks and months.
And that's also why they're doing martial law right now.
Yep.
They're doing a head count because a lot of them fleeing. They getting out of there.
Well, before the martial law, they didn't let no men leave Russia. Before the martial law kicked in, they're doing a martial law in the newly covered states. But in Russia, they were doing martial law before they made the announcement that they're going to sit back here and do a draft.
Yep. They don't let anybody leave.
They're like, nah, man. Listen, our advantage is that we can develop a 1 million man army pretty soon. They got 25 million plus to dispose of. That's light work. What they don't tell you also is that their armaments, their military armaments, they're working. Shoot, I'm gonna say in the spring, summertime, they were working triple set hours. Triple set hours, meaning three sets of times. By the time, and now they were prepping for wartime. Now it's 24 hours a day that they're rolling out weaponry, producing weaponry. One thing that the Ukrainians, they can't overcome is the fact that the Russians were going through, this is before they had light numbers, when the Russians were undermanned against Ukrainians. People don't realize it. They were undermanned 2-1 going into the whole battle. They're running through 60 to 70,000 rounds a day. And that's nothing. That's nothing. And the Ukrainians can't even keep up with that. To the point where now the United States can't even, they're talking about not supplying any more weapons.
Really?
They can't do it. On the lower level. They can sit back here and send more bombs, so to speak. But day-to-day infantry stuff, they can't replace it. Because in China and Russia, they can mass produce this stuff. They can't mass produce this stuff in the United States and these NATO countries. They can't mass produce these weapons. That's why all they're doing is just sending these HIMARS. That's all they got.
See, Ukrainians are taking Russian tanks and converting those into fledged Ukrainian tanks.
But they're giving they've given Ukrainians all the World War II bullshit out. All the World War II old stuff that they don't even use anymore.
Obsolete.
The obsolete stuff is what they've given the Ukrainians. Now the Ukrainians are begging for these high-end German tanks. But it takes months to teach them how to use them. You can't just wake up and just ride tanks and all of a sudden the tide of the war has changed.
First of all,
it don't work like that.
First of all the instructions in German.
That's horrible.
And you got 3 people in the tank that got to get trained for 3 different responsibilities.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch.
Why does that work? You don't put nobody and that's the point. Yeah, so now they're sitting back here taking these HIMARS. And the funny thing is, like idiots, the Ukrainians have been taking some of the military weaponry and selling it on the black market. And they were selling HIMARS to Russians. And the Russians took it and they broke the HIMARS system down.
Reverse engineering.
Now they know how to take them out of the air and destroy them out of the skies. Nobody, they don't tell you about that. Because these HIMARS aren't hitting like they used to. They shot like 6 HIMARS like last week, and none of them hit their targets. Because they know how to sit back here. As important as the HIMARS and the bombs are, you have to have your anti-aircraft missiles, your anti-aircraft systems to shoot down the smaller bombs that are coming into your territory. Anyway, they're going through a lot of munitions and weaponry, and it ain't even really working. What you gonna say?
Is HIMARS airplanes?
No, HIMARS are like these really strategic guided missiles that are they said they're very delicate,
hard to detect,
and they're very precise. They like early in the war, they sat back here and they blew up a destroyer around Russian seas in Crimea. They blew a battle. I don't want to say battleship, but one of those huge Russian tankers.
I don't think it was a carrier, aircraft carrier.
It was one of their big joints. I just don't know how to express the word.
It was a high-end naval ship in
Yes.
the Black Sea.
And it was, those things were built to withstand punishment, but the bomb was so precise that it hit in the one spot that it would need to take it down.
They fly real low to the water
Mhm.
to where they make it almost hard to detect.
Yes.
And so they barely fly. They fly in just barely a few feet above water, so it makes it almost undetectable. It doesn't go up in the air and come back
radar
down.
doesn't.
Yeah, it just floats.
Can't really
It
detect
flies
it
right
low.
above the water, so it makes it hard to detect. So by the time you detect it, you know, and it's hard to detect with radar systems.
Yep.
It's already up on you by the time you detect it. That's how that ship got sunk.
And those HIMARS are known for their precision, but they also said they're very delicate. And for one HIMAR, you're spending, I think it was like $1 million or $2 million. It was in the millions per HIMAR. So that was the problem. The problem is how expensive each HIMAR is, and then the problem is how long it takes to replace what you just gave out. They said that it takes almost all these HIMARS are on back order. It takes years to replace these HIMARS. It ain't like we have in this country. They have this HIMARS on deck.
War's a business.
And all this money that you're sending out, half your shit is for like 15 HIMARS. So they're not sending heavy levels of ammunition and wartime on the ground type of machinery. It's all bombs and stuff. The Ukrainians want the F-16s. They're like, no, we ain't giving you these F-16s. They're not giving them. They're not giving their F-16s. Give us F-16s. It's like, no, bro, we're not giving you this shit. You're not taking it. You're not using the stuff you got. It's not working for you. Anyway, they're losing the war. Regardless of what you might see on the news, all those little territories that they're gaining little cow towns out. Nobody's even there.
Oh, they are getting territory.
They were, when they started going on the offensive, they were getting little spots of land up north. But it was areas up northeast that were lightly guarded and protected, and they weren't taken serious.
I thought that was propaganda.
Because what they tell you in Ukraine is, from the northeast of Ukraine to the southeast of Ukraine is the distance from England to Germany. It's a large span of land. So you have to decide how much of this land do you really want to give a lot of attention and energy to. That's why they said, okay, if we're going to really break these guys, once they vote to be a part of Russia, we need many more people to cover the width and the depth of this place. So what was happening is the strategic place that mattered, they would have the bulk of their army. So they weren't guarding this spot, so let's go take this spot. What they were doing, the Ukrainians were doing anything they can to show NATO that they're winning, or to show them that they're gaining some territory, so they can keep getting more money. So they'll cover this area that's lightly guarded. Cool, you got a town that has 4,000 people in there. Good for you.
Because they want fun of losing.
Exactly, and that's the point. They were already telling them that. They're even telling them this now. We have midterms coming up. You guys got to start winning. Listen, they're getting their asses kicked in Kherson right now. They're trying to do this offensive. They're losing battalions at a time.
And Belarus just activated their soldiers to jump in the war to fight against Ukraine.
And what they're doing with Belarus is covering the West. So now they're covering the Polish border. So now they're in trouble. So once they finish and complete covering the Polish border with 150,000 troops, now you're going to squeeze on Lviv, which is the westernmost town in Ukraine. You have Russia coming from the south, and you got Bakhmut, which is about to break. So now you're going to squeeze into Kiev, which is the capital. They're going to squeeze them out, and you got Belarus on top. It's a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. They're just waiting, and what they said also is, logistically, this time of the year is very difficult to get things from A to B because of the weather. It's real slippery and wet and muddy and mushy. They said once you get to November, December is when the ground hardens up. Then you can get these larger tanks and the things you need set up. So they're just waiting. They're waiting until around December, January. Then it is suffocated. But also while this is happening, You got Polish forces ready to go. United States is in Poland and Moldova ready to go when they get the call. This is going to get nasty. It's going to get nasty real soon. There's even sayings or rumors, we'll go over this more on Monday, that Ukrainians have a nuke in Nikolaev. And because they can't match Russia hand to hand in fighting, they're ready to create a false flag under NATO and America's guidance to create a false flag to blow up their zone. Just to say they dropped the nuke.
Right.
So because once that's done, now everybody can come in and go to war. So that false flag is ready to go. They're losing all these they're losing people. They're losing hundreds a day. Kherson, like 2 days ago, lost like 500 people. They're getting wiped out because the thing is this. When the Russians are like, okay, they're rolling with heavier numbers than us. We're too far extended. Fall back. That's what they do. We'll fall back. And what their military tactics they use a lot of times, either if they're too low in numbers, they'll fall back, or they'll fall back and surround you and take you out. That's what they're really known for, that too. But the Ukrainians, they just go, send all the men, kill them. I don't give a damn if they all die. We got to sit back here and try to get this spot. That's what they do. They'll just sit back and run their people. They'll die. They'll get some more people, run them and die. That's their way, because they got to justify keeping this war going. If they don't, they lose their funding. They're gonna lose their country one way or the other. If they don't get the funding, they're gonna wipe them out. They're gonna take Zelensky out anyway. Ukraine is done. Or he's gonna get mutiny from the inside. Either they're gonna do a coup and kill him, or the CIA is gonna sit back and take him out. Or you better keep fighting. One or the other. Because a lot of countries have blown their wad on weaponry and monies, and they got to see something happen. It'll be catastrophic if they sit back here and Russia occupies all of Ukraine. It'll be catastrophic.
Because you're right next to Germany.
Well, listen, I'm going to say this. After Ukraine, it's Poland. After Poland, now you're in Germantown.
You're in Europe, bro.
Now you're right now in the heart of it. It's over at that point. And the truth is, the Ukrainians had a 600,000 plus man army. The Polacks got like 250, 300.
Well, they got America there too, right? In Poland.
Yeah. They're there posted up.
They got like 500,000.
The 101st Airborne is out there in Poland right now. And they ain't been out there and ready to go and fight in a long time. But they're ready to go. So it's going to get nasty in Poland. Or they're going to sit back and feed it and force it all up in Ukraine. This is going to get bad real quick. And I don't know how the hell we got to the end of the world talk. We're here talking about King Asa and King Baasha.
Baasha
was in the world
was
stuff.
in the military. That's how we got into it. Baasha.
Nah, that wasn't how we got to this. No. How we got to it was the garrison part, the fort.
Okay, he set up a fort.
That was you, brother.
See, it was the fort. We had the garrison situation and how he's setting the garrison up so they can. We got into his logistics.
Yeah.
And it was the strategic move to logistically be an eighth of a mile away from Jerusalem, because you don't know when they're gonna come and get you. They come to you in the middle of the night, they can besiege you in the middle of the night. It's too close for comfort. It's the exact same reason why Russia said you're not gonna let NATO get in Ukraine. Don't forget, in 1990, when Russia fell and Gorbachev finally raised the white flag, one of their only conditions to raising the white flag and ending the Cold War was what? Does anybody know?
They wouldn't move forward the territory.
Don't go eastward with NATO. Don't take NATO past Germany. What'd they do? They kept pushing NATO past Germany. They ended up breaking out Yugoslavia, and they kept pushing Lithuania and all these different countries to turn NATO. And every single step, they're like, bro, you're too close. Bro, you're too close. Bro, you're too close. Stop this. Stop. This is why it's been escalated. Because the goal was always to take Russia and break it up in 20 different provinces. to completely break them, like they did Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia was one country. Now it's like 7. That was on purpose to destabilize their nation.
Same with Libya.
Yeah, that's what they do. That's the playbook. Destabilize, split them all up in pieces. Now they're no longer powerful. They'll fight against each other this whole time. That's the game plan. It's everywhere. So anyway, that's where we're at. And this was the plan of Baasha, to be close enough to really create havoc militarily against Asa. So now, Asa, don't forget, Asa did have a victory. And at the time, he prayed to the Most High, and they came through and were victorious. They were outnumbered. And that's important. He had enough faith to get through one battle. Now we're going to see what happens with Asa now when the heat's on that. So we're going to hold off on Josephus. We got that. Let's go back to 1 Kings chapter, no, we're not 16. Matter of fact, let me see. We're back to 1 Kings 15 and 16. This thing was kind of... Remember we skipped some verses in 15? Now we're going to go back and knock this out.
1 Kings chapter 15, verse 16 reads, "And there was war between Asa and Baasha, king of Israel, all their days. And Baasha, king of Israel, went up against Judah and built Ramah, that he might not suffer any to go out or come into Asa, king of Judah."
So once again, he set these fortifications up in Ramah. Read on.
Verse 18. "Then Asa took all the silver and the gold that were left in the treasures of the house of the Lord."
So listen, he took all the gold and silver that belonged to the Most High. Now we know the silver don't really belong to the Most High, right? But everything that was supposed to be for the temple, he goes all in, and he does the smart guy move out. Read on.
"And the treasures of the king's house, and delivered them into the hand of his servants."
He went all in and gave all his money up to do what? Read on.
"And delivered them into the hands of his servants. And King Asa sent them to Benadad, the son of Timrion, the son of Hezion, king of Syria,
So, read on.
that dwelt at Damascus, saying,"
He said, "Listen, I'm gonna give all my bank account up here and give it to the king of Damascus, the king of Syria." Don't forget, the king of Syria, their family lines were connected by their mothers. I mean, their wives. Their wives. Asa's wife had Syrian blood in her. Okay? So he's petitioning to this king for some assistance to help in this fight. Read on.
Verse 19. "There is a league between me and thee, and between my father and thy father. Behold, I have sent unto thee a present of silver and
It
gold."
wasn't no present. This was a hey, I'm gonna pay you to sit back and fight with me. I need some damn mercenaries. Read on.
"Come and break thy league with Baasha, king of Israel, that he may depart from me."
So first, this guy was really afraid of. His spear was on 10. He was like, Baasha got the king of Syria on his side. I'm gonna get wiped out. All the fearing of the Lord and all the high places removed. He got all about that stuff out. He was like, I don't got the numbers. We're gonna get beat. It's a mathematical situation, right? So Asa's dealing specifically on logic and intellect to deal with this situation. Read on.
Verse 20. "So Benadad hearkened unto King Asa, and sent the captains of the hosts, which he had against the cities of Israel, and smote Ijon, and Dan, and Abel-Beth Ma'ikah, and all Sidera, with all the land of Naphtali."
So strategically, he took out the northern part of the northern kingdom. Dan, Naphtali, all these areas were the northern part of the northern kingdom. Okay, read on.
"And it came to pass, when Baasha heard thereof, that he left off building of Ramah and dwelt in Tirzah.
Because what he's saying is, okay, if you can touch me in my city, let me back off your city. Let me just go back to my fortifications, because what he showed Baasha is, I can touch you in your weak spots too. So if you back off me, I'll back off you.
Yep.
So it was intelligent. Now he blew all the bread to do this. He blew all his bread to do this. Read on.
Verse 22. Then King Asa made a proclamation throughout all Judah. None was exempt. And they took away the stones of Ramah and the timber thereof, wherewith Baasha had builded. And King Asa dwelt with them.
Built.
Salakia. And King Asa built with them Geba of Benjamin and Zippah.
So what he did is, he took all the fortifications that Baasha had used to build up Ramah. He said, everybody in the southern kingdom, get off your ass and help break this damn fortification down. And we're going to take all the materials that were used to build this situation up and build Geba in Benjamin land. I don't want this area to look fortified at all. We got to take Baasha's strategic position away completely. So that's what he did. He took away the fort that he was building. He took all those pieces, the wood, the stones, all the artificing materials, and took it down to Benjamin to reestablish Geba. Does that make sense? So really it was in consideration of, okay, Jerusalem's fortified, let's fortify a stronghold in Benjamin too. Make sense? All right. So he also obviously eradicated the guys that was still holding the garrison in Ramah also. Read on.
Verse 23. The rest of all the acts of Asa, and all his might, and all that he did, and the cities which he built, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah?
Listen, we're going to jump and explain the more details of what happened to him in Chronicles 16. But just read this verse. Just read this. It breaks up a lot, so you have to do a lot of jumping to get the understanding. Read on in that. We're going to read to verse 24 through 24. Read on.
Nevertheless, in the time of his old age, he was diseased in his feet.
We'll go into all the what happened with his feet and all that stuff, but keep going.
Verse 24. And Asa slept with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David, his father.
Okay, read on. Is that all that? No, read on.
And Jehoshaphat, his son, reigned in his stead.
Okay, so Jehoshaphat reigned in his stead. Let that go and give me 2 Chronicles chapter 16, verse 1 through 14. We're going to sit back and see how the Most High looked at Asa's decision and his strategy towards dealing with Baasha and the threat that was an eighth of a mile away. Let's read that in 2 Chronicles 16.
God. 2 Chronicles chapter 16 verse 1 reads, in the 36th year of the reign of Asa, Baasha king of Israel came up against Judah and built Ramah, to the intent that he might let none go out or come in to Asa king of Judah.
And also what that does strategically is any shipments that are coming around Jerusalem, he could stop those shipments from going to Jerusalem. He can pretty much choke out the city and besiege it. Because the first steps of besieging a city is to do what?
Shut off the supply line. Supply line.
Exactly. So this was the first step of completely breaking Jerusalem anyway. Set up the fort an eighth of a mile away. Anybody coming in the city, we can sit back and neutralize them. Anybody coming out, we can neutralize them. Now we can starve them out over time. And they'll eventually break and we can end up taking Jerusalem. So that was ultimately what Baasha was trying to do. Read on.
God. Verse 2. Then Asa brought out silver and gold out of the treasures of the house of the Lord and of the king's house, and sent to Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, that dwelt at Damascus, saying, there is a league between me and thee, as there was between my father and thy father.
Mm-hmm.
Behold, I have sent thee silver and gold. Go break thy league with Baasha, king of Israel, that he may depart from me. And Benhadad hearkened unto King Asa, and sent the captains of his armies against the cities of Israel. And they smote Ijon, and Dan, and Abelmaim, and all the store cities of Naphtali. And it came to pass, when Baasha heard it, that he left off building of Ramah, and let his work cease. Then Asa the king took all Judah, and they carried away the stones of Ramah, and the timber thereof, wherewith Baasha was building, and he built therewith Geba and Zippa, Mitzvah. And at that time, Hananiah the seer came to Asa, king of Judah.
So now, after all his strategical moves were complete, and the war had subsided, and Baasha had returned back up to the northern kingdom, and Jerusalem was quote unquote safe based on his strategic positioning. Now the Mosai sends the prophet Hanani back to Asa, king of Judah, and lets him know what he did and how he handled the situation. Was it good or bad? Read on.
God. And at that time Hanani the seer came to Asa, king of Judah, and said unto him, because thou hast relied on the king of Israel, on the king of Syria.
He said, because thou hast relied on the king of Syria. Read on.
And not relied on the Lord thy power. Therefore is the host of the king of Syria escaped out of thine hand.
He's like, you could have sat back and had Syria if you wanted it.
Wow.
He said, you were so short-sighted and you were so afraid. And all you had was confidence in your intellect. Yes, I?
He spent all his bread too.
He broke himself, and he broke the temple again. The temple was back to wood. Don't forget, when the temple was put together, it was built with wood, but it was gold on the outside of it. Right?
Like reinforced.
Every time they're taking the gold off of the wood and giving it up to the people, doing broke people shit. When you broke, you gotta take all the fancy shit off your house side.
Pawn shop.
You gotta take it. You gotta take it to the. They went to the pawn shop. And when you take shit to the pawn shop, and you ain't getting it back.
Yeah.
This is a suicide mission. You know it ain't going back in your hands. Like, that TV is never coming back.
Hey, no, only on income tax time it's coming back. That's about it. Yeah. Everybody in the pawn shop during income tax time.
Oh my God! But sometimes the problem is you might lose the ticket. Sometimes you might have been to make the minimum payment. There's a lot of bad things that can happen when you're doing pawn shit.
Those are desperate moves.
And that's the point.
Dead pawn.
Him sitting back here, going to the pawn shop, giving all his gold up to the king of Syria was a desperate move.
And a desperate move based upon the lack of faith.
Khan. And this is what the prophet is telling Asa.
That's crazy.
A lot of men make those decisions to blow their resources because they lack faith, and then they wonder why they hit rock bottom. Then look down. You all you had to do is just apply some faith. Let the Most High come through for you. You didn't have to blow your resources, bro.
I want to go to a verse to kind of prove it, to explain this thinking in comparison to how the Most High wants us to operate. Ecclesiasticus 25, verse 9 through 12. This pawn shop thinking out.
Yeah.
This survival mode out. The crazy thing is, the Most High had already equipped Asa with an experience where the Most High was with him in war. That's the other thing. Listen, he took care of him against the Ethiopians. And how the Most High builds a man's faith. You know what he does? You know how he builds your faith? He gives you an attainable victory. You succeed. And then the next battle seems a little more unattainable. But you have to use the victory you had that was a little more attainable in your
The
eyes
previous victory.
as the experience needed to catapult you moving forward in the next battle that seems to be unattainable. That is how a man is built in faith. You just face different higher stakes of challenges, and you have to use your previous victory to get through the next battle.
As the template.
And then you use that. Then once you overcome that one, now you have two experiences that the Most High has been there with you to get you ready for the third experience. And that's how you learn. Does that make sense? Read on.
Ecclesiastes.
Wow, I need some energy. Give it to me.
Come. Ecclesiastes chapter 25 and verse 9. Well is him that hath found prudence, and he that speaketh in the ears of them that will hear.
So it says you're well off, and it's a good thing to have prudence. Let's go find that definition of prudence. So let's do prudence. Who got it?
Prudence. In the 1828, prudence implies caution in deliberating and consulting on the most suitable means to accomplish valuable purpose.
So a prudent man will sit back here and deliberate. Let me talk to my advisors to see what's the best course of action. And there's without a doubt, Asa did at least that. Let me talk to my advisors. Let's count the cost. We know what Baas is trying to do. He's going to try to suffocate us out and kill us softly a little bit at a time. He's setting up fortifications so we can't come in here and attack them and break down the fort. We'll almost lose a lot of energy trying to break down this fort, and we'll lose manpower here. So now what he's doing, he can sit back and set up raids. He can cut our supply lines out. What are we going to do? And this is obviously, he went through the process of prudence to get to this point, to make this decision. Read on in that definition if you can, sir.
Well, I'm going to skip to the more important part of it.
Yeah.
All right. Prudence implies more caution and reserve than wisdom.
No, give me a prudence differs.
Okay. Prudence differs.
From wisdom, and this is right above that.
Okay. And it says
Differs, yeah.
and the exercise of sagacity in discerning and selecting them. Prudence differs from wisdom in this, that prudence implies more caution and reserve than wisdom, or is exercised more in foreseeing and avoiding evil than in devising and executing that which is good.
So what he's saying is a prudent person is trying to find the road that requires the less amount of risk.
Yeah, risk aversion.
That's what a prudent person does. A prudent person is different from wisdom because prudence is less risky than using wisdom.
That's how the insurance companies operate.
Mm-hmm.
Insurance companies operate off the spirit of prudence. They do statistics. They understand
Numbers.
based
It's
on
just
records,
numbers.
Their age. Okay, based on this age, he's more likely to have these accidents. We're going to charge this much per month. They're looking at the things based on risk aversion, based off of commonality.
Mm-hmm.
How often people operate, how often people do certain things. And based off of this, these are our rates of risk that we're willing as a company to extend to you.
Yep, and it's not about wisdom. This is about just numbers and what's the safest path available. Once again, prudence differs from wisdom in this, that prudence implies more caution and reserve than wisdom. Don't forget, wisdom is what? What's the definition of wisdom?
Correct.
It's the correct application of knowledge. So it is a very healthy, balanced combination of taking risk and making the right decision. Prudence is a lesser version of wisdom. What the Most High is showing you in this chapter in Ecclesiastes 25 is that there's different calibers of thinking. There's different calibers of how to operate. And he's saying that prudence isn't wicked, but it's the most overly cautious way to do with something in a situation that's provided in front of you.
It's smart decisions, but it lacks the presence.
You know what it does? It lacks soul.
Yeah.
It lacks heart.
Morality.
It lacks, not morality, but it lacks heart. It lacks spirit. It lacks fight. I can sit back and think my way to something to where I can avoid any type of confrontation, any type of fight, any type of situation that will put me in a position to look vulnerable, to be weak, to make a mistake, to get exposed. That's what prudence is. I'm going to do everything I can to not expose myself. Because a wise move would have been to go out and kick their ass in Ramah. That was wise. Because this way, you can show force. Most High's with me. And if I take them up, don't forget, when you read in the last chapter, they hadn't completed the what? The construction of Ramah. So there was a lot of instruments and things still there. So they hadn't even completed it yet. Wise move is let's get a group of men and bust them up in Ramah. That's wisdom. But that will require what?
Faith.
I got to stick my nose out there. I might lose. I might get my ass kicked. I might fail and have to come back and look bad. What's up?
It lacks confidence and vulnerability.
Because something when you have to apply wisdom, that means you have to also show what type of man you are spiritually. Where's your heart at? Where's your spirit at? Where's your fight at? The prudent move, I don't have to show none of that. I don't got to expose my vulnerabilities to the world. People don't got to see me for who I am, and I can still make a prudent move. And that's the difference between prudence and wisdom. What it shows you is how a person makes decisions also shows you the caliber of man he is, or the caliber of woman she is. If I'm just making moves all the time to cover myself and protect myself from damage, it just shows you that you're a prudent man. That don't make you a great man. That makes you an ultra conservative person who's ruled by fear. So are you going to make decisions ruled by fear your whole life and call it wisdom? Because if we're going to define it right, if you're making decisions based off of fear, you're prudent. You're not wise. Let's go back in that definition again. Prudence differs from wisdom in this, that prudence implies more caution and reserve than wisdom, or is exercised more in foreseeing and avoiding evil than in devising and executing that which is good. So I'm more focused on avoiding a problem than standing up for what's right and doing the right thing. Doing that which is good. I'm more focused on just avoiding a bad, difficult time. Really, it's also about, I don't want to be inconvenienced. Because what you're going to read later on is that the curse that the Most High puts on Asa, because he did this, is that he was going to constantly be in wars.
So you're gonna be exposed anyway.
He said, because you want to always avoid the battle, I'm going to always put your ass in battles. Because you got to learn how to fight and stop being the technical smart guy, staying in the back, sitting back here being fucking Professor X. Like this. I'm thinking things through. I'm just so damn smart. Get out of here, bro. You gotta fight too. It's the thing, huh? Yes. There's a lot of Professor X's in Israel. I don't want to fight for shit. I'm just gonna sit back and think it through. Yes, sis. I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Yes.
When it comes to being prudent and being cautious compared to as much light within you live at peace with all men.
Mm-hmm.
What's the like if you're not trying to get into problems, you're trying to stay in order. Mm-hmm. How do you balance to be at peace? You read the situation and not engage?
Okay, I need you to I need a little more information.
Okay. Like,
I would need a
say,
little more information. Yes.
If it's being prudent, mean you're trying to be cautious and careful. I
Yes.
don't want to say anything.
And hold on, I want to make sure I'm clear on this. We're taking jabs at prudence. Prudence is better than being a beast. Okay? Prudence is better than sinning. That has to be understood too.
Prudence is also classified as a virtue.
Yes.
So it's not a
Yes.
bad thing.
Yes. Thank you. I want to make sure. I'm attacking it a little bit, but I don't mean.
Because you're showing the contrast between wisdom and prudence.
Exactly.
And
It's
there
a
is
higher level.
And there's a difference. No different than fortitude and courage.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between fortitude and courage, even though when you read the definition, they're almost identical. But they're not. They have their own individual meanings. But all he's showing is the contrast between the two. You know, so prudence is a virtue. And if a person cares about righteousness, they'll pursue prudence as well.
Yes. Con. Because the scripture exactly whatever.
We gotta focus, man.
Con. Okay, the point is this. Is that God, this come on, Adam messed me up. You threw a monkey wrench in my statement.
It's like you watch the Cowboys play football, and why they never go far? Because when it's time to take the risk, it's 4th and 1. They punt the ball.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's the safe play.
Yeah.
We punt the ball. It's 4th down and 1. It's 4th and inches.
Yeah.
But we only got 2 minutes left in the game. Either you're gonna take a chance and you're gonna believe in your players,
yes,
and you're gonna believe in your offense, and you're gonna hike the ball and push everybody over that line, or you're gonna take a step back and kick the ball and hope you get the ball back with 2 minutes left.
Sometimes you got to punch a person in the mouth and have faith it's gonna work out.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's analysis by paralysis,
So
or paralysis by analysis. That's it. The wrong way.
So it'd be like being wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. You're like wise, you peep in the sea and like, okay, you know what? Let me make sure I'm in order. This isn't it's not to make me come off like, oh, I got wisdom. Let me come back and check you. Let me also assess every situation I engage.
I don't think you're coming from a scope of being in order. I'm coming from a position of sometimes in order for the Most High to really show you where He's at, risk has to be taken. It's one thing to be in order and lock in, whether it's a wife to a husband or being in order if you're number 2 to number 1 or whatever the case is. But what's this is being talked about is if I'm going to really learn how to cleave to the Most High. This is about cleaving to the Most High and understand the Most High. Sometimes you have to take those risks in faith. And I'm going to read it again because it explains it towards the end. It says, prudence differs from wisdom in this, that prudence implies more caution and reserve than wisdom. So it's almost like an overly cautious spiritual move. It's spiritual, but it's an overly cautious spiritual decision.
Can I give you an example? For example, real fast. Scripture says, before thou go to world war, do what? Counsel.
Mm-hmm. And count the cost too.
So count the cost. Supposed to count the cost, supposed to counsel. So before this war, you always go to counsel. You communicate about counsel. And normally there's going to be one counsel, or 1.5 counsels, really. We give you the counsel. This is the counsel the Most High says. It's going to be the most risky, most uncomfortable, most adverse, this most fear. But you'll learn the greatest spiritual lesson. And so Most High, you believe more by making.
You got to slow that down. You got to slow that down because I think that was, you said it fast, but I don't know if everybody caught that point.
I'll say it slower. Before you counsel, before you go to war, which is a situation of conflict, you must always counsel. In a counsel, you're going to get about 1.5 angles. Angle number 1 is this is the approach you should take that will show the Most High you have the most faith.
Yes.
And it's going to be the most uncomfortable and the most adverse to your natural set of strengths.
Facts.
Because mostly I'm confident in my speech, so it might be some with paperwork.
And I have to cut you off because I'm adding to you.
Go ahead. That's all.
No, because what you're saying is all the answers. There's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
There's no wrong answer when you're provided with some of these answers.
God.
One answer is pushing you towards the most uncomfortable
spiritual challenge
where you will get and gain the greatest spiritual understanding.
God.
And then the other ones would be what?
And the second point, which we say half a counsel really, right, would be, okay, if you don't want to do it like this, because we give brothers that counsel, some brothers say, la.
Yeah. Because, you know why? Because that counsel is a possibility I can lose something.
There's loss with that counsel.
Or I could lose something if I make that bold move in faith.
Most High would back you. But if I don't believe,
I'm
my
afraid
faith
to
is out
lose.
there, if I'm scared to lose based off this decision, not you gotta do this, put all your eggs in this basket. This is the move. Yeah, it's the move, but you can't see it. Because remember, faith is hope that's seen is not hope at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can't really always see it. So you can't always, faith that is seen is not, I'm saying it, I'm quoting it wrong.
Hope that is seen is
not
is
Faith is the
hope.
substance of things, hope for the evidence of things not
Mm-hmm.
seen.
Exactly. So if I can't see this, that counsel you're going to get is the counsel you can't see. You can't see it, or I can't comprehend this working out.
Now, what Israel says in that situation, they'll say is, that's
not
not wisdom. What really is, that's not wisdom to me. This is wisdom to me. But what I'm really saying is, I want to make the prudent choice.
I want the sure shot bet. So instead of taking the city,
Minimum loss.
Minimum loss. But with minimum loss, you'll get minimum spiritual reward. You'll get minimum spiritual understanding.
The outcomes are different between if you make the prudent choice versus the wise choice.
Yes.
For example, Lot. The angel told Lot, let's get out of here. We have to leave the city. We're going to go to this land right here. What did Lot say? That land's full of animals and beasts, and I don't know what that land's all about. It's lions, tigers, and bears, oh my. I'm not going there. Let me go to the land of Luz. L-U-Z. The land of Luz meant little. So he went to the prudent choice, which is the land that was outside of Sodom and Gomorrah, that he was comfortable with. There weren't lions, tigers.
It was secure.
There wasn't lions, tigers, and bears. It was secure. But he ended his life in that small city without a spiritual victory. But he did get saved from Sodom and Gomorrah. He had two choices. He had the direct order of the Most High, leave the land, we're going to this land right here. I just can't do it, Father. I just can't do it.
I'm going to be living in
It's
tents, bro.
bears
I'm being
over there.
tents out. All you got is a tent.
It's bears and it's lions out here, and they're real. But the Most High said, go there. But you know what? He wasn't confident in the Most High's direction, like we don't be confident in the Most High's direction. So do you have another counsel? You have another counsel?
Let me talk to this other brother.
That's really
That's what happened.
And normally the other brother is not going to give him the wrong answer.
Come on.
They're just going to give him an answer that will not put them in the same level of spiritual strain as the other person.
Exactly.
Because when you have to make a big faith move, you're going to feel weird inside. You're going to get that pit in your stomach.
You can't sleep.
I'm like, damn, I could lose something tomorrow.
It's all over if I do this.
If I do it, I could take a big L today.
It could be L. The L.
Somebody's going to die tonight, actually.
Yeah.
This is the idea that if I do this, this ain't going to work out tonight, actually.
Or you see sometimes a brother may have he may have an objective to introduce himself with a sister, but he's too afraid to say something.
Yeah.
And brothers say, man, go talk to her, tell her how you feel. You know what I'm saying? Tell her you court, you want to court the sister.
Yeah.
No, brother, I'm not ready yet. And then next thing you know, she's dealing with another man.
Then you're angry.
Then you're mad. You know what I'm saying? That's like
punching walls.
Yeah. You know, then you're mad. You know what I'm saying? Because look at what you could have had, but you didn't want to stick your neck out there.
Because I was afraid to lose.
I was afraid.
That was the wisdom, though.
Or,
No, that was prudence.
That was prudence.
No, the wisdom was deal with the spirit.
Take a chance.
Take the chance.
Yeah. God.
But like, you know what? I'm not sure about that. So that's why I call it 1.5 counsels. You can look for the lesser degree of loss. Yes, sir.
So wisdom is related to taking risks.
Yeah. The right risk, the spiritual risk.
What counsel?
Yes, sir?
1 Peter 2, 19, 20.
What's it say? Just read it.
1 Peter chapter 2, verse 19.
Mm-hmm.
For this is thankworthy, if a man for conscience toward the Most High endure grief, suffering wrongfully. Verse 20.
Yeah, kind of. But I don't want. It's not really suffering wrongfully.
Mm-hmm.
This is more about the amount of risk you're taking and the discomfort you're going to go through to do things the right way. And this was why, once again, the end result of the matter was that he was going to always be involved in wars and discomfort, because he made these decisions out of fear and a lack of wanting to be uncomfortable. That was the root of the problem. He didn't want to be uncomfortable, so he thought a way through the road of less what? Resistance. Let me go the road of less resistance. The path of least resistance is prudence. The path that forces you to work on your character,
And adapt.
to work on your because there's decisions that will force you to deal with fear. There are decisions that will force you to deal with your pride, or your humility, or your doubt, or your just your negative outlook. Those decisions are the ways that we try to teach one another to go that path. But so many times we choose to go the easier path that makes more common sense. That's prudence, but you never spiritually grow.
And
we're supposed
I
to
think
be teaching.
that's why Amiathi was bringing that scripture out.
Yes.
Because that scripture that you're bringing out, Amiathi, it shows which mindset will the Most High support, and which mindset will the Most High be more approved of.
Yeah, I was really trying to hit the very last of 20 where it says this is acceptable.
Right, exactly. This is acceptable. This is what the Most High accepts. This mind frame the Most High approves of, and that's so one may be the prudence, and that's a good decision because it's a safe place for your comfort. But that doesn't mean that will get the Most High's acceptance. That doesn't mean the Most High will back up that idea the most and reveal Himself to that person the most. Versus the wise choice, which you still got counsel, but it will cause you a little bit more of an uncomfortable notion or situation. But the Most High is backing you even that much more. It requires more faith. The Most High appears and He shows Himself within that decision. You know. So yeah, that it is about what decision will the Most High support me the most in, or the Most High will make Himself appear to endorse my decision making. What will make the Most High back my decisions up the most? Me making the prudence choice, or me making the wise choice? The Most High is going to be behind one of those decisions the most. And the wise choice of using wisdom is the one that I can get the Most High to appear to show me that He's with me, versus me being safe and me avoiding harm or danger.
Can I give one more example?
Sure.
Moses, right? It was prophesied he would be, ruler of Israel.
Yeah.
He was second in command. He was second in command of Egypt. The Most High had him do what? Renounce his throne to lead his nation. That was wisdom. But it required loss. But he could just took care of his nation as what? Second in command. Why renounce my throne? I can be in power. I can make sure I look out my people. I know all the laws. I know all the. Huh?
I can stay comfortable.
I can stay comfortable, but I know the king. I can just talk to him.
You know why? Because a lot of times people want to live in that middle realm. Well, that middle realm is I can be comfortable and I can still appear to be a believer, but I'm not really putting forth those actions necessary to sacrifice myself to show the Most High that I made a solid decision, that I'm all in with Him.
And I don't have to lose anything.
Yeah.
I don't have to lose anything.
Yep.
I can make moves and I can make this safe play.
I'm still taking care of my nation.
Yeah. And but a lot of people choose the safe play, but in making that decision, you don't grow spiritually. And for what the Most High wanted this man Asa to learn, he chose not to learn it then. So the Most High kept him living a life of having to face these discomforts until he learned to figure out the lesson. And that was the point.
And this is why a lot of times, like when Christ would talk to His disciples, a lot of disciples weren't really ready to experience that discomfort, that uncomfortable lifestyle. That's why Christ said, "Foxes have holes, birds have nests, but the Son of Man have nowhere to lay His head." He said because to get to be a disciple at that level that Christ was demanding, you couldn't just have your life and then live the life of Christ. You couldn't do both. You had to make that decision to really go all in with Christ and be made uncomfortable to really get the understanding of what He had to teach you and what He had to offer you. And the Most High wants that. He wants that. He doesn't want that gray area.
Yep.
You know, where I can still
Hot or cold.
Yeah, hot or cold. I can still be bounced back with my family. I can still serve Christ. No, Christ is saying, listen, to serve me, you gotta hate your mother, father, sister, brother, wives, sons, daughters, yea, even your own life also. So it was more of a committed lifestyle that Christ wanted out of us. And that committed lifestyle is a little bit more uncomfortable than just the, you know, hey, I'm here, I believe, but I really don't want to go all in, but I believe. That's not so committed. And Christ, for his disciples, they need for them to be true disciples, they had to go all in. They had to leave their jobs, put down their nets, if they were fishermen, put down their nets and follow Christ.
Yep.
Pick up a whole new occupation, pick up a whole new obligation, pick up a whole new lifestyle that was uncomfortable, which he warned them from the beginning. This is uncomfortable. But look at the reward that you get. He said in the regeneration, he said, you shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel, because you decide to make this commitment and this sacrifice in your life. So the reward is greater for those that do so.
Okay. And let's go back in this definition one more time. It says prudence differs from wisdom in this, that prudence implies more caution and reserve than wisdom, or is exercised more in foreseeing and avoiding evil than in devising and executing that which is good. It's no different than when you're dealing with a brother and you're teaching him. You have a choice to tell him the truth about himself and risk the option of losing him, or you give him a slanted answer because you're afraid that they might not like to hear the truth.
Yeah.
So even in dealing with men, you have to ask yourself, am I willing to lose this person by telling him the truth in hopes that he'll grow and be a greater man?
Open rebuke is better than secret love.
Or do I sit back here and give him a lighter answer because I'm afraid of losing him in the first place? What people don't understand is if you take that path, you'll end up losing him anyway.
Just slower.
It's just a slower process, and I'll keep them long. It's the same thing with ribs.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with wives. Either you're going to tell them the truth and take the risk of losing them slower or quicker, or lie and half-ass them and BS them, and you'll keep them around for a little longer, but they'll eventually leave anyway.
You make excuses for them and say, well, she's not ready to handle that kind of truth. She's not ready. She's not built up for that. She's not. Or even tell a brother, come bring a sister to class.
Yep.
No, she's not ready for class, brother.
Okay.
You know, she's not ready. She need time to get familiar with class. And
But
with
she's ready to be with you, though, right?
Yeah, but she's ready.
She's ready for that.
Yes, she's ready for that. She's ready to go on dates.
She's ready for me.
Yeah, she's ready for me. Hang out and and whisper sweet nothings. She's ready for that. But bro, she ain't ready to come to class, brother. She ain't ready yet. She need time to get built up.
That means also if she sees you for what you really are,
Yeah.
then she probably don't want to deal with you then. So I want to keep her on the side, get what I want out of it, because I know if she sees my whole life, she's not going to want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
That's the prudent move.
But at least
That's not the wise move, huh?
But at least I scored.
That's the point. Or at least I dated. I got 3 months after this.
That's horrible.
I'm gonna drag
That's
it
the
along.
point.
I'm gonna drag it along.
We
as
do
long.
it all the time. Israel does it all the time. We talking about it. Israel does it all the time in multiple facets of life.
Yeah.
We'll take the prudent move versus the wise move, because the wise move requires actual faith
And being uncomfortable.
and the risk of loss and uncomfort. Discomfort. I'm telling you, this is the nature of mankind. Let me just finish this out. And it is sometimes mere caution or circumspection. Prudence is principally in reference to actions to be done, and do means order, season, and method of doing or not doing. Anyway, I think we get the point of that. Let's read verse 10, Ecclesiasticus chapter 25 and verse 10. Imad, if you can do that.
You just want me to read it? You want me to get up?
Yeah, get up. Yeah, let's salute you. Let's salute you.
Ahmad, Shabbat Shal, Slaki, parade rest. Ahmad, Shabbat Shal,
That's okay.
Shal Shabbat.
Yes.
Ban Yahawah, Ban Yashrala.
Imad, Shal Shabbatah, Ban Yahawah, Ban Yashala. And much. Bro. Yahweh Hashem Yahshua
Yahweh Shema Shabakatam.
All right. All right, let's read Ecclesiastes 25 and verse 10.
God. Ecclesiastes chapter 25, verse 10. It reads, "Oh, how great is he that findeth wisdom, yet is there none above him that feareth the Most High."
Okay, so once again, it's great for a person to find wisdom. We'll go on to the definition of wisdom real quick. It says, the right use or exercise of knowledge, the choice of laudable ends. Let's look up laudable real quick. This is, it says, and of the best means to accomplish them. So what it's showing you is this: there's many different ways to make a decision, but when you use wisdom, you're using the right one.
Yeah, spell it.
Laudable, Laudable.
I thought it was a T. Got it.
Laudable.
Got it. Go ahead.
Praiseworthy, commendable, healthy.
So this is the honorable play. This is
Yeah.
the praiseworthy process of thinking. But a lot of times people say they're using wisdom, but they're really using prudence. It's the safer play. The wise move is the play that brings out, that's the most honorable move. The most spiritually honorable decision is when you're following wisdom. And the Most High is showing you there is a good way to do something, there is an okay way to do something, there's a good way to do something, and there's a great way to do something. And that's really the understanding of this whole situation.
And that praiseworthy way would be, which decision would I make, or can I make, or did I make, that will bring more glory to the Most High?
Exactly.
Because that's what it comes down to. Because everything that we do is supposed to be bringing glory to the Father. So which one will bring more glory to the Most High? Me saving my skin, like Satan said, like he told Job, or he told the Most High about Job, skin for skin, a man to do anything to save his own flesh? Or which one will give the Most High more glory?
Yep.
And that decision is what it determines either whether it's wisdom or whether it's prudence.
No doubt. No doubt. So it says this is wisdom in act, effect, or practice. If wisdom is to be considered as a faculty of the mind, it is the faculty of discerning or judging what is most just, proper, and useful. And if it is to be considered as an acquirement, it is the knowledge and use of what is best, most just, most proper, most conducive to prosperity or happiness. And that's spiritual prosperity or happiness. Wisdom in the first sense, or practical wisdom, is nearly synonymous with discretion. Differs somewhat from prudence in this respect. Prudence is the exercise of sound judgment in avoiding evils. Wisdom is the exercise of sound judgment either in avoiding evils or attempting good. But in order to attempt good, you have to face what? Evil. So prudence is avoiding evil. Wisdom is about standing up for what's right and facing evil right face to face. That's really the biggest difference. Am I going to face this evil in me? Or face this evil across the way? Or face this evil that sleeps in my bed next to me? Or face this evil right in front of me? The courage to deal with the negative inside of me or around me is the application of wisdom as well. Versus prudence is based on avoiding the evil, avoiding the danger, avoiding the issues. Okay? And it says, prudence then is as a species of which wisdom is the genus.
Wait, what's the source?
The source, yeah. So do we get the understanding of this? The source is wisdom. Prudence is the safer play. I think we're gonna leave it at that. I think we got a good part of that. We're gonna let that go and go back now to 2 Chronicles chapter 16 and verse 7.
2 Chronicles chapter 16, verse 7. And at that time Hanani the seer came to Asa, king of Judah, and said unto him, Because thou hast relied on the king of Syria, and not relied on the Most High thy power, therefore is the host of the king of Assyria escaped out of thine hand. Verse 8. Were not the Ethiopians and the Libyans a huge host, with very many chariots and horsemen?
He said those Ethiopians that fought against you outnumbered you too. Read on.
Yet, because thou didst rely on the Most High, he delivered them into thine hand.
And we talked about this earlier. The Most High already showed him that he was with him.
That was a spiritual choice.
That was a spiritual choice. But now, whatever happened, whatever circumstance was in his life, he felt overwhelmed. And he relied on his logic, verse off of wisdom and serving the Most High. Because in his head, I have too much to lose.
Yeah.
So if I got too much to lose, and this is what also shows you where a man's limitations are at. You only push as far as your willingness to risk goes.
I don't think I can pull off again.
I don't think I got it in me to have enough faith to make this next move. You're only going to go as far as your willingness to risk it all goes.
You know, the greater the risk, the greater the reveal of what a man really believes in.
Yes.
Because if there's no big risk, a man can say he believes in the Most High all day long.
God.
But you know what the Most High will determine? He'll put you in a position where the risk of loss is greater, and it will yield and manifest your belief. It will yield and manifest your faith.
God.
It will yield and manifest. Do you really believe in the Most High? Well, let's find out, because this was a smaller risk, and you believe. Well, let's heighten the stakes. Let's raise the stakes. Now that the stakes are risen, now the Most High wants to still know, do you still believe in Him?
Mm-hmm.
And if you pass that test, the Most High will raise the stakes again.
Raise it again.
He'll keep raising the stakes,
Yeah.
and then say just to keep determining at what event will I know it will be made evident that you really believe in me. You know what I'm saying? That's why the Most High said, we can read this real quick in Deuteronomy chapter 8 verse 2 and 3 real quick.
While we're looking for that, Ecclesiastes 43 and 30 says you can never go far enough.
Okay.
That's why the stakes keep getting raised. Huh?
Yep.
Ecclesiastes.
You said Deuteronomy 8?
43 and 30, and then Shelshawan's was
Deuteronomy 8, 2 and 3 real quick.
That one?
Yeah.
Deuteronomy 8, chapter 2.
right.
Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 2.
yeah.
Read that.
Deuteronomy 8 and 2. And thou shalt remember all the ways which the Lord thy power led thee these 40 years in the wilderness.
That's what the whole wilderness is about. Go ahead.
To humble thee.
It was to humble you down. Go ahead.
And to prove thee.
And to put you to the test. See, the Most High will always put us to the test. He always wants to know what will cause you to break or fold. When are you going to say, I'm going to cash all my chips in and I'm done. I'm out. Because the Most High will keep taking you to that level where He wants to determine your level of belief. That's what proving a person is a test. Read on.
God, to know what was in thine heart.
Because the Most High always wants to know what's in your heart. Now, when it comes to losing something small, then that doesn't yet say that you really believe in the Most High, because it was a small risk. But when it's a great risk, and it's something that is a treasure to you, something where your heart is tied to, that will determine to the Most High, do you love me or do you love what you possess? Do you love me or do you love your comfort? Do you love me or do you love your money? Do you love me or you love your family? Do you love me or do you love your sons and daughters? Who do you love and why? Read on.
Whether thou wouldest keep His commandments or no.
Go ahead.
Verse 3. And He humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that He might make thee know that man doth not live by bread alone.
So the Most High will keep pitting your lifestyle choices, your comfort. Bread is what feeds you. Bread is what provides you, your sustainability. He'll keep pitting what you use to sustain yourself with against you to know who you need to rely on. So that way you can get to the point of being content. Being content is whether you believe in the Most High, whether you're based whether you brought low, or you're abound whether you brought high. That means nothing changes my faith in the Most High. Whether I'm up, I still have my faith, or whether I'm down, I still got my faith. Nothing's going to alter my disposition when it comes to my belief. Read on. Finish that.
God. It says, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Most High.
Until you get to the point where you solely and completely always rely on the Most High.
And not the tangible.
And not the tangible. So the Most High will keep using different tangible things to determine who do you really trust in, who do you really rely in, who do you rely upon, who do you call upon. Until your reliance is completely bent on serving the Most High, then the Most High will keep having these wars pop up, or these battles pop up, until you've proven that to the Most High.
And those wars are designed to pull out and keep agitating that part of you that you don't want to face.
Yep.
And that's what's happening. That's what happens to all of us.
The wilderness gets stretched out.
Yes. Everybody has their own wilderness, huh? And you're going to die in the wilderness, you're going to sit back and escape out of it.
Make the kingdom.
You're going to go on, because I guess it's the same thing. Israel walking in circles was Israel pining away in their battle. Withering away in the things they choose not to fight.
To avoid.
Or you sit back and have the courage to face these issues in yourself and move on and grow to the next one and the next one. So, you got more?
No.
Okay.
I'll make a point. Real
Yes,
quick.
sir.
So we got to realize that being an Israelite is intended to be at its highest peak a life of campaigning. You're constantly campaigning. I mean, the military is always campaigning to the next mission, the next challenge. So you have to be comfortable with the Most High, because He's a man of war. You're going to be constantly campaigning under that spirit. The Most High is a man of war. He likes conflict, he likes battle, he likes challenges. So He always creates a situation that challenges and maintains your edge and your sharpness. Iron sharpens iron. Iron being the situation you're in. The situation should be sharpening you.
Trying to bring out the testaments. Constantly.
Let's read verse 8. We're going to read verse 9 in 2 Chronicles.
2 Chronicles
16 and 8.
16 and 8. 2 Chronicles chapter 16 verse 8. Were not the Ethiopians and the Libyans a huge host, with very many chariots and horsemen? Yet, because thou didst rely on the Most High, He delivered them into thine hand.
Mm-hmm.
For the eyes of the Most High run to and fro throughout the whole earth, to show Himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect towards Him.
That's phenomenal. Huh?
Yeah.
He's looking constantly to and from the earth, huh? Just to find somebody who has a perfect heart towards Him, so we can defend Him. Huh? He's looking for people to defend. But what it's also showing you is you have to show yourself perfect before He can defend you. You have to show yourself worthy of Him to defend you. It's not the other way around, like they teach you in church. They teach you in church, all you got to do is show up and He's there. You know that damn stupid footprints analogy? That ain't the case, huh? You have to show yourself worthy of His protection, and when you do, then He's running to and forth looking for an opportunity to help. You know why? Because it's so scarce of the opportunity for Him to do it. He doesn't get a lot of opportunities to show His strength, because most people aren't worthy of the defense and the protection.
One scripture on that too.
Yeah.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 verse 1. Yeah, Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 verse 1.
Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 1. Love righteousness,
Read on.
ye that be judges of the earth.
Go ahead.
Think of the Lord with a good heart.
It said of the Lord with a what?
With a good heart.
That means that I rely on the Most High at all times. Read on.
And in simplicity of heart seek Him.
Stop trying to go to safe route. Read.
For He will be found of them that tempt Him not.
It says He will be found of them that do what?
Tempt Him not.
Read.
And showeth Himself.
And the Most High will reveal Himself. He'll show up on the scene. He'll make Himself manifestly evident in your life. He'll make Himself known to you. Go ahead.
unto such as do not distrust him.
And the Most High is he's combing the earth, looking for men to reveal himself through as a vessel, only for those that do what?
Do not distrust
that
him.
do not distrust him. So the Most High will manifest himself through you as a vessel, only if you show yourself that you don't distrust the Most High. That when push comes to shove, I rely on the Most High no matter what. Read on.
Verse 3. For froward thoughts separate from the Most High.
Go ahead.
And his power, when it is tried.
Because the Most High always does what? He's
Tries
going
to reign.
to try you. He's going to try your heart. He's constantly trying the hearts of men. And when the Most High try you, it'll determine whether I can show myself through this man and be pleased and be accepted. This man is acceptable in my sight, or this woman is acceptable in my sight, or this is a person that I can't deal with. Read on.
Reproveth when it is tried, reproveth the unwise.
And what makes them unwise? Read on.
For into a malicious soul.
Because when it was time for you to show yourself worthy of the Most High's glory and his appearance, you showed that what? I don't trust the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
I can't trust him. He's not going to take care of me. I got to go back and trust what I can see, what I understand, and what makes sense to me. He said, for to a malicious soul, go ahead.
For into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell in the body that is subject unto sin.
So yeah, that's what the Most High can't deal with you. So the Most High is looking for men that he can deal with. He's looking for people that he can deal with.
Yep.
And the Most High, the men and women that the Most High can deal with are the ones that got the right heart, which means that they rely on the Most High and not on their own selves, their own imagination, ideas. They rely on the Most High at all times.
Okay.
That's the heart. That's the kind of heart that he's looking for.
And what he's also showing is for the person who's always making a conservative play, it's hard to cleave to the Most High if you're making the conservative play. You have the safe plays. It's hard to cleave. It's hard to get. It's hard for the Most High to get the most out of you when that's your mindset.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, now let's go to let's continue in Chronicles. 2 Chronicles chapter 16, verse 9. 2 Chronicles chapter 16, verse 9.
2 Chronicles chapter 16, verse 9. For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth, to show himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect towards him.
It is. It's a great verse. Listen, all of us tell ourselves the Most High is not there, or he doesn't care, or why is the Most High looking after me? He's looking to and fro the earth, looking for somebody who's taking him serious.
Yep.
He's waiting to show his strength to the person whose heart is perfect with him. Let's keep going.
Herein thou hast done foolishly.
He said, you did foolishly, Asa. Read on.
Therefore, from henceforth thou shalt have war.
You're going to have wars. He said, I'm not going to destroy you, but you're going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because you chose comfort. Because mentally you chose comfort, you're going to always be fighting wars, Zach.
Because you know
the thing is, when you're fighting wars, I'm going to let you go, you're always dealing with the idea that you might lose.
not going nowhere.
Listen, you're going to always have to fight this battle. And the lesson was, are you going to cleave to the Most High in all these battles? Are you going to try to keep blowing empty in the bank? Trying to sit back here and buy your way out of your issue? And that's what he bought his way out of fight having faith. Huh? He bought his way out of having faith. That's what Asa did. He emptied the bank account. He said, I'm going to buy my way out of this. Versus fighting and toiling and sweating it out, I'll just pay my way out. That's what he did.
He wasn't counseled to do that. Right.
Well, he was.
The priest gave it to him?
Listen, he was given a counsel and he chose it. Like all of us. Yeah. We get strong option counsels and we get some weak ones. Listen, there was obviously, listen, pray to the Lord and go out here and fight out.
Somebody said that.
I don't like that.
Trying to hear that counsel.
What about this? What other ones we got? What other counsel we got, fellas?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you could empty the bank and give it to. That's not wisdom. That's not wisdom. Yeah. What other ones we got here, Ak? Oh, well, you could sit back here and take the gold out of the big house and give it to the king of Syria. That's wisdom. I like that. I can stay in the cool seat, stay in the White House side. I can stay in the White House side, and all these guys are gonna fight for me out.
Yeah, I'm gonna pay somebody else to fight my
But if you
battles.
think about it, you know why it's wisdom? Because the nations are fighting my enemies. I'm not even gonna sit back and fight with my guys. I don't gotta sit back and endanger my nation. The Most High's gonna love that, right? You know what? But you know, he deprived his people of a faith moment also. He deprived his people of an opportunity to trust and cleave to the Most High. Not only did he deprive himself, he deprived the nation of it. It was straight political. And he's like, man, you done foolishly because you deprive your nation of experience, that a reminder that I'm here. And I'll be there if you honor me and you serve me. So because of it, the nation still got to learn their lessons. They still got to learn how to cleave to the Most High. So now let's keep these battles going.
Because the battles not just coming against him, it's against the whole nation.
But you know, the nation has to learn to cleave to the Most High. Don't forget, Ecclesiastes, I didn't even read this, but read Ecclesiastes 25 and 12.
Ecclesiastes chapter 25, verse 12. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of his love.
When you fear the Most High, that's the beginning of you learning how to love him. Read on.
And faith is the beginning of cleaving unto him.
And faith is the beginning of cleaving unto the Heavenly Father. So the reality is, he needed to sit back here and go through the experiences the Most High was putting King Asa through. Huh? How many? So once again, these battle scenarios, these war scenarios, were opportunities for King Asa and the people to learn how to cleave to the Heavenly Father and get closer to him. And that fear of the Lord, the only way, the beginning of fear of the Lord is when you sit back and cleave to him. So these scenarios are absolutely important in order to gain those experiences needed so they can teach their sons and their children. This is why you have to believe in the Most High. When I was ready to go to war and we were outnumbered 3-1, the Most High came through for me. Those lessons matter. They're referred to as testimonies later on in the New Testament. That's true. Those testimonies will catapult you into serving the Most High on a greater level. Anyway, so he not only deprived himself, he deprived the nation of opportunities to cleave to the Heavenly Father. And that's what I'm like, you did so foolishly. Why would you blow all the bread when I was here for you the first time? And also the lesson was this. When you sit back here and you do all, listen, it's like, what good was all the good work you did, Asa? All the getting out of groves and wiping out and eradicating the sodomites, what good was it? I was about to bless you and show the whole kingdom the power of serving the Most High. You know what's crazy? And also he deprived Baasa of the lesson he needed to learn. Maybe the Most High would have wiped out Baasa that day. Maybe Baasa needed to see there was a power that comes from the Most High, and the Most High is not with me. Maybe he needed to see the Most High do a miracle to sting him. You know who else did a dumb move like that? Remember the prophet Jadon that came out of Jeroboam? And all the things the Most High was breaking up Jeroboam on, with the altar breaking, and his hand turned to the baby hand.
Checking him.
Then all of a sudden, none of that mattered because a day later, a lion killed him because of his disobedience. So all the good he did didn't matter because the lesson that the person that was intended to learn from, he never got the lesson. Now maybe if Asa would have had some faith, the Most High would have created such a great victory to teach Baasa a lesson at that particular time. So once again, our hesitancy to fight our battle has an effect on the people around us. We think we're looking after people by not telling the truth. We're actually weakening them by not doing what we're supposed to do and applying wisdom versus prudence. Does that make sense? Okay, let's continue. You got something, sir?
Yeah, just real quick. Book 12, chapter 6.
It's Josephus.
Josephus.
If you could plug it in there, chapter 1.
Okay. Josephus, book 12, chapter 6. Start at paragraph 2. Just real quick. Read on down.
Book 12, chapter 6, paragraph 2 in the Josephus. It reads, line 268. But when those that were appointed by the king were come to Modin, that they might compel the Jews to do what they were commanded, and to enjoin those that were to offer sacrifice as the king had commanded, they desired that Mattathias, a person of the greatest character among them.
So the Gentiles desired Mattathias, somebody that had recognition, notoriety, a leader amongst the people. They try to get the leaders to sell out. Somebody that people look up to. They're trying to get the leaders. The Gentiles always try to get the leaders to sell out. The leaders of our people to sell out. Read on.
A person of the greatest character among them, both on other accounts, and particularly on account of such a numerous and so deserving a family of children,
go ahead,
would begin the sacrifice, because his fellow citizens would follow his example, and because such a procedure would make him honored by the king. But Mattathias said that he would not do it, and that if all the other nations would obey the commands of Antiochus, either out of fear or to please him, yet would not he nor his sons leave the religious worship of their country.
It says that certain men decided to stand for the Most High and the Most High only. He said we're not gonna leave the religious worship of our country. We're not gonna sell out. Read on.
Line 270. But as soon as he had ended his speech, there came one of the Jews into the midst of them, and sacrificed as Antiochus had commanded, and which Mattathias had great indignation, and ran upon him violently with his sons, who had swords with them, and slew both the man himself that sacrificed, and Apelles, the king's general, who compelled them to sacrifice, with a few of his soldiers. He also overthrew the idol altar, and cried out, If, said he, anyone be zealous for the laws of this country.
And this is what the Most High loves, man. The Most High loves the spirit in this man. The spirit in this man says, listen, I refuse to sell out. I will not sell out at any cost. It says, and any man that is zealous, go ahead.
We're line 271. If, said he, anyone be zealous for the laws of this country.
He said, if you are zealous for the laws of this country, read on.
And for the worship of the Most High.
And if you care about the worship of the Most High as number one, as being priority, read on.
Let him follow me.
So this is the spirit that the Most High endorses, man. The spirit that the Most High endorses is the anti-sellout. The person that's not going to sell out the commitment that the Most High requires them to have, the sacrifices for him, in maintaining his acceptance. I'm not going to sell out my nation. I'm not going to sell out my people. I'm not going to sell out my laws, my statutes, and my commandments for nobody. So I'm about serving the Most High and the Most High only. He said, if you care about this, he said, follow me. Read on.
And when he had said this, he made haste into the desert with his sons, and left all his substance in the village.
He said he left everything that he was comfortable with where?
In the village.
That means he left his houses, he left his furniture, that means he left his jewelry, or whatever it is that he had in the village. Everything that he possessed. He said, man, I'm willing to leave that behind, and I'll start all over, because I believe so much in the Most High that he'll rebuild me back up. And this is the beginning of a long journey of wars that the Maccabees had with the Greeks. You know what I'm saying? This is the beginning of that journey of the Most High constantly revealing that he was with the family of the Maccabees. He was for the Maccabean revolt because the heart that these men possessed was this anti-sellout heart. So that's the heart that the Most High wants to be shown in and revealed in. that I'm going to serve the Most High no matter what. The Most High loves that spirit. That's all I want to bring out on that.
Okay. So now, let's continue. So the Most High cursed him with this wars act. Now listen, that's better than most kings.
Yeah.
Most kings was getting destroyed and defeated, and he said you're gonna be fighting wars and you're gonna be uncomfortable the rest of your life. You're not gonna. You know what's crazy? It's almost like how the Most High like has us go through a succession of battles, and then if you complete them and fight them, He gives you peace at the end.
Exactly, peace in the kingdom.
But now there's no peace for him because he messed up.
And we did the same thing in the wilderness. We could have just sat here, followed the Most High's order, and got to our kingdom sooner.
Yep.
But because we were sitting here resistant,
we were rebellious, and then we were afraid at the end.
Yeah.
We were afraid to sit back and fight those giants. Same here. So now, check this out. He starts to pout now. Now Asa's starting to pout out. He got bad news out. He got bad news. The prophet sent him bad news. Check out what the king does now. Asa does a king move out. Read on that.
Where we at?
Verse 10.
Verse 10.
16,
Chronicles
yes.
chapter 16, verse 10.
This is a dirtbag move right here, bro. Read on that.
Then Asa was wroth with the seer.
So Asa was mad at the prophet act. Exactly. Now you're mad at the prophet act because the Most High gave you bad news act.
Don't kill the messenger.
He like this. He was moving like this. Like when the prophet was telling him the truth, he was getting all comfortable like in his linen out,
making faces out,
in his silk out. He was like, it's just.
Yeah.
he was on his throne like this.
Yeah.
And the whole court was watching. Everybody watching the king. Everybody watching the king. Like this.
You know, Isaac was uncomfortable as hell with this bad news. So now he's pissed off at the seer. Read on.
And put him in a prison house.
Put him in jail. He put him in the clink. He said, "Take this man.
Lock him up.
Lock him up. Like 800. Take him out of here." Read on. It's crazy.
For he was in a rage with him because of this thing, and Asa oppressed some of the people the same time.
So now he not only did he sit back here and take it out on the messenger, he's gonna take it out on the people around him.
Can I make a point?
Yeah, I will. He's gonna taking it out on the people around his periphery. When he was pissed, he's smiting the servants out. It's crazy.
You know what it shows? It shows servitude of the Most High.
It's conditional.
Using it as a convenience. I'm serving the Most High based off the convenience of I have protection because I'm serving Him. See, I'm serving Him. See how I'm doing things right. Because of really being righteous and really being uncomfortable with that purpose, now you see His true heart.
Listen, when you gonna see He did more bad things. Listen, when you get good news, it's okay to be benevolent and kind. When you get bad news, all of a sudden the people get treated wrong.
Right. Your servants got to get stepped on.
Because you got weak, you was negative, so now I got to treat the people wrong. Because Most High stung me for my negative actions. People do that all the time.
Hurt people. Huh?
I'm a hurt people because the Most High wasn't pleased with my servitude. Israel don't got to suffer for that. It shouldn't have to suffer for that.
Well, you know that we know the spirit is true because this is the same spirit that was in Cain. Yeah. This is why Cain killed Abel.
Yeah.
Because you hate the fact that the Most High is not behind you and blessing your offering, so you take your hate out on your own brother.
Yep.
So that's the natural recourse of what happens when a man is not getting endorsed by the Most High. And when the Most High is not pleased with you, you take that displeasure out on the person next to you.
Yeah.
The people around you are the people that suffer. You know
it's a damn shame.
We learned that from Genesis.
Yep. And when brothers we work with over the years.
Yeah, brother. Oh man.
It's the truth. This is not good though. Let's keep going.
Hurt brothers.
Hurt brothers. That's awesome. Great way of saying it. Read on that.
Last part of verse 10. And Asa, actually I already read that. Verse 11. And behold, the acts of Asa, first and last, lo, they are written in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel.
This next verse proves that he didn't learn the lesson that the Most High have for him in verse 9. Read that out.
Verse 12. And Asa in the 39th year of his reign.
Stop. He reigned for 41. So in the last of his reign. Read on.
In the 39th year of his reign was diseased in his feet.
Now, normally, this is like gout, because they call that king's disease. So whatever you eating, you excessively eating meats, and you're doing you, man. And a lot of times, gout is the disease that happens when you have it.
Yeah, gout is an excessive amount of lactic acid built up in the body, and the acid cannot come out of the body, and so it creates these cysts and this inflammation in the joints because the acidity level is so high. That's why so it's just over consumption of high acidic foods, meats, you know what I'm saying, things that hold a lot of acid. Or cause a lot of acid. Yeah, ankles get swollen.
Yeah.
It's that inflammation in the joints.
Yep.
And so it's painful, very, very, very painful.
So
because it creates that bone on bone.
Yeah.
That it's in the joint, so now the bones rub against the bone. So it's real painful, man. Can't walk, can't move, need crutches. You know what I'm saying? Limping everywhere.
It was a crappy way to go out.
Yeah.
You know what? It was an aggravating way to go out. Aggravation. So now he's hurt. So what does he do? Does he send prayers to the Most High and ask the Most High for some answers out? Ask the Most High to relieve his pain? What does Asa do? Read on.
Middle of verse 12.
Just read verse 12 again.
God, verse 12. And Asa in the 39th year of his reign was diseased in his feet until his disease was exceeding great.
He probably couldn't walk out. This guy's disease turned up. Read on.
Yet, in his disease, he sought not to the Most High.
He was bitter at it. Even though he said this, what it shows you is a man can serve the Most High, follow the law, and still be bitter towards the Most High. Because it still didn't show, it didn't say Asa stopped following the law. It didn't say Asa went to high places.
Nope.
Asa was following the law, did the work of the Lord, but was bitter as hell at the Most High. Because he was mad that what he gave to the table wasn't good enough for him.
And so one always says that that's manifesting how you treat people around you.
Ah.
So he always moved it out. You manifest how you feel about the Father in your relationships.
And he's telling you,
your relationships declare
Yep.
your thought process towards the Most High.
Asa oppressed some of the people at the same time. You think it stopped? Hell no, it didn't stop. Because right now, why don't you go to the Most High? He said, yet in the disease he sought not to the Lord, but to the physicians.
And just one verse on that, Ecclesiastes 38.
I still got you, sis, okay?
And 15, it says, he that sinneth before his maker, let him fall into the hand of the physician. So he didn't realize how he got to the physician to begin with. He never acknowledged the fact that
that's true.
It was my departure from the Most High that brought me to the hands of the physician. But all he kept doing was seeking the physician's help, not putting the fact that I have to be here to these physicians because I'm disconnected from my Father. I'm disconnected from the Father. A lot of people don't put two and two together as the cause of your sickness is a detachment from the Most High, but you're looking for healing to a doctor or to a physician or to a hospital or to a nurse, not recognizing you're only there in the position at the hospital because you're detached from the Most High.
Yes.
People don't correlate the sickness with the detachment from the Most High.
That's crazy.
But a lot of people's sickness is because they've been detached from the Most High.
But the reason he's attached is he's angry.
Because he's angry, he's bitter.
He's bitter at the Most High.
He's bitter at the Most High because he made bad decisions.
Yep. And in his eyes, I did what I could. I did the best I could. I did what I did to save my people.
I bet you
in his eyes, he did what he could, and he shouldn't have been given the not even a curse, but he shouldn't have got stung the way he got stung.
Right.
He thinks that what was done to him was unfair. Like a lot of men in Israel. You can follow the law, but you're bitter and angry because you're mad how the Most High, what lot he gave you in your life.
I come at this point, and look at what he had to reference. He's like, I'm not like these other guys.
Yep.
I'm not like these previous
kings. Whack kings.
I'm not like these other guys. I'm the best of, in the past recent years, I'm better than these past other guys.
Yeah.
So why am I getting something? What we'll do is that's what he's doing. We're comparing and contrasting ourselves with another person's failures.
But us up north is going crazy.
I'm comparing and contrasting myself, and I'm comparing my value to the Most High based off of other people's failures, but I'm not making it based off of me and the Most High, how the standard he has for me. Because the Father's with a man case by case.
Yep. Yep.
Everybody's case by case basis. You do with your children case by case, right?
Right.
You don't be like, oh, but you can't react. You ain't like, no, you like, listen.
Every child's different.
I know what your strengths and weaknesses are. I know what your strengths and weaknesses are. So he couldn't focus on his relationship with the Father. I'm gonna look at, okay, these other guys, they were doing this, they were sinning, they had sodomites in the kingdom. I'm not like them. Why am I getting stung? Not looking at the fact, what are you not doing to please the Most High in your relationship with the Father?
To whom much is given, much is required.
God.
And because the Most High invested more into us, and the Most High demanded more from us.
God.
And you can't compare and contrast what the Most High has put into you in comparison to how far above you these other people might be in your life. Like you said, these other kings were wicked. Especially the 9.5. This guy had 24 years of living life, right?
Yep.
And you can't say, man, how is this guy still living? And I got bad feet.
He's walking around.
You don't got no wars. I got wars. This guy don't have no wars. He's smiling at.
Yeah.
Serving other guys. What the hell is this, right? I'm fighting wars for the rest of my life. Feet on blast. This ain't fair. And this, listen, it didn't say he let him out of jail either, right?
I know.
This guy's still in jail so far, right? Feet bad and everything, right?
He wasn't getting no releases.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this, and this is, we're gonna read about all these prophets. You know how much courage it took to give the king bad news at? As a priest, as a teacher, or as a prophet, you're taking real risk, guy. You're taking real risk, guy. Telling the prophet the truth, guy. That bad thing is gonna happen to you, guy. You're throwing it all on the line, huh? You're throwing your life away, huh?
You might want to sit down. You might want to sit down and let me give you some news that you might not want to hear. Man. You might want to sit down, have a seat.
Bro, you could die, huh?
Why do you think those prophets said, see these horns right here? These horns are going to drive away the...
That's lying.
These are the horns. The Most High gave us a vision. These horns are going to drive away this other army. You're going to be victorious.
No.
It's not the truth, bro.
But the truth is, it takes a lot of faith to actually sit back here and give the person the bad news. Yep. Knowing there's a really good chance he's going to kill you or throw you in jail forever, right?
I hate you.
Those weren't regular jails, right? You on cobblestone, you laying on those straight rocks, right? You live in a crappy situation, right? All I'm saying, yes, sir.
I was on the proper mindset to have Psalms 38, 1-5.
Concerning what?
The proper mindset that Asa should have had.
Okay.
In the spirit of repentance in the midst of this chastisement.
God, read it real quick.
Psalms 38, verse 1. O the Most High, rebuke me not in thy wrath, neither chasten me in thy hot displeasure. For thine arrows stick fast in me, and thy hand presseth me sore. There is no soundness in my flesh because of thine anger, neither is there any rest in my bones because of my sin. For mine iniquities are gone over mine head as an heavy burden. They are too heavy for me. My wounds stink and are corrupt because of my foolishness.
And this is why David is the gold standard of leadership. This is why David is, because this is what most his heart was pure. His heart was pure, and he was able to see and be humble enough to own up and acknowledge his issues. Asa just wasn't even humble enough to acknowledge it was him.
He wouldn't even seek the Most High.
Seeking the Most High doesn't just mean prayer. It just means, you know what, damn, it was my fault. Can I acknowledge the fact that I didn't give enough for the Most High to honor me? A lot of people can't accept that in their life. It takes them years of going back and forth to say that the Most High gave me what I put in. The Most High has given me what I put in, and everything I've gone through was what I was supposed to go through. And the Most High is fair and just. Yes, sis.
What I say is more, he put himself as he was not guilty.
Yeah.
So he became the victim, which a lot of us sit here, we play the victim, so we don't, and we give the sob story, so we don't.
I gave my whole life up.
I gave my whole life.
I'm wiping out sodomites.
Yes.
I'm sitting back here, I'm wiping out groves. I checked my mama. I took her out of the power position, took down her groves, and this is what I get
in return.
In return for serving the Most High. This is what I get. I stood up for righteousness' sake, and this is what I get: jacked up feet.
Can't walk.
Can't walk. I'm in constant threat of my life. All because I still didn't even. In his mind, my decision still wasn't wicked. He just said you done foolish. It was a foolish decision. It wasn't wicked. In his mind, I get punished for just not making the best decision. But you know the crazy thing is because he had it in him. He had it in him. You know what it shows you? He had 5 talents and he produced 4.
Yeah.
He had 5 talents and the Most High wanted 10 back and he only produced 8 or 9. That's really what this is.
He came up short.
He came up short and he was mad because he's like, I still brought 8 to 9 talents where everybody else is bringing 3 and 4. That's not the point. The person with 5 talents has to bring 10. The person with 3 has to bring 6. The person with 1 just got to bring 2. And you can't get mad at the person with 1 talent is only responsible for 2, because that was where Asa went left. He's measuring other people and the expectations the Most High has on them versus the expectation the Most High has on you. And we want to think it's unfair, or the Most High is not equal. That's what it was said in Ezekiel. It says the Most High is not equal. He's not fair. It's not true. He is. He gives everybody what they need to sustain their spirit. And he demands everybody give what their maximum potential is. That's what the scripture says. Okay. Let's go verse 13.
We didn't finish read 12.
Read 12 from the top again.
From the top, verse 12. And Asa, in the 39th year of his reign, was diseased in his feet until his disease was exceeding great. Yet in his disease he sought not to the Most High.
He never sought. When he says sought to the Most High, never looked inward and said, what did I do to offend the Most High? Ultimately. Read on.
But to the physicians.
Once again, it's still his logic. His logic, he valued his logic more than relying on the Heavenly Father. Read on.
Verse 13. And Asa slept with his fathers and died in the 41st year of his reign. And they buried him in his own sepulchres, which he had made for himself in the city of David, and laid him in the bed which was filled with sweet odors and diverse kinds of spices prepared by the apothecaries. Art.
So he still wasn't a wicked man. He wasn't a wicked man, but he had flaws, and he didn't maximize his potential in serving the Most High. And that's really ultimately why we teach how we teach. Everybody has a responsibility to maximize what they have inside of them with the Heavenly Father. Everybody has to understand that. A person might have 1 talent and has to double that. What about the people who have 4 talents, 3 talents? They got to double that. And if you fall short, then the Most High going to judge you off that. And what he's saying is, don't plateau in your work with the Most High. Reach your potential, or you'll end up fading out like Asa did. It's very scary. It's very scary because he just couldn't accept that with all of his virtue, all of his ability, all of his talents, he could have gave more. It wasn't good enough. His good, he could have did more good.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. And he couldn't understand why what he gave wasn't good enough in comparison to all the other people that didn't give half of what he gave.
So
that hits people a lot. You got it, bro. What you got?
No, I just wanted to so all he did. So that's Ezekiel 33, right? So all the good that he did was now brought to nothing.
No. I'm not going to say all the good he did was to nothing, because he still, Most High still let him be honorable. Okay. He was honored. Once again, the funny thing, he was the first good king since David.
He was given an honorable burial.
He died honorably, because you can tell the Most High had favor for him because he died honorably. He just didn't reach his potential. You can do good and be good and not reach your potential. And that's that middle dilemma that hits a lot of Israelites. Because Israel wants to say, man, I'm in the work, I'm in the truth, I follow the law, I go to class, that might not be enough. That might not be enough to max you out.
It's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning, and that's the point. It's a great start, but there's more to give. The Most High wants what? Usury.
You can never go far enough.
And Asa couldn't accept that the Most High wanted more usury from him. Like he wants good usury and more usury from us. So what else can we do but constantly teach and demand that we can give more? That's the only way you can ensure that you're maxing yourself out, is that you keep demanding that everybody gives more. What else can you do? The day you tell yourself you've done enough, you might not have done enough.
You've graduated.
And all of a sudden, that little folding of the hands comes in, a little sloth for sleep, then the whole house collapses. So you can't do that. Everybody has to be put on their toes so that we can light a fire up under all of us, so we can keep practicing giving more, so we don't end up like this guy. Because what ends up happening is, when we stop giving and the Most High starts cursing us, where's the mindset that we go into? The Most High is not fair. I'm doing all these good works. The Most High is not blessing me. If we don't remind each other to give more, that's waiting for us. Because if you tell yourself I'm doing everything you can, you're setting yourself up for mental outlook failure. You're setting yourself up to start cursing the Most High inwardly.
Especially if you said I did everything right.
That's the point. Or I'm doing everything I can. That's a dangerous damn statement. I've done everything right. I'm doing everything I can.
In my own eyes.
And then all of a sudden, when the Most High's, the results in your life don't match what you think you're doing, now you're angry. Now you're unsatisfied. Now either you take one or two mental approaches to deal with this. Maybe I wasn't giving enough. Let me meditate on how I haven't given the Most High what He wants. And that's what Asa didn't do. Asa didn't sit back here and seek the Most High. He chose the opposite way. Most High ain't fair.
It's the blame game.
He turned his back on me.
Yeah, the Most High is implacable. He can't be appeased. He can't be made happy.
Yep.
And that idea that the Most High is implacable, that idea is dangerous to play with, because now I give myself to a reprobate mind.
Yes.
Now I feel like I'm excused. I don't have to follow, because no matter what I do, I can't do nothing. I can't do nothing right. And
so why even try?
So why even try? People develop these thoughts in relationships
all the time.
No matter what I do to try to show you that I care and I love you, nothing is ever good enough.
All the time.
So I might as well go be by myself.
Or just go on autopilot and just get bare minimum.
Yeah.
And then expect that if I don't get appreciated on that end, that I might as well leave.
Yep.
But that's how we do as women, wives, as men towards the Most High. It's the same concept.
Same concept. Because
we don't want to tell ourselves and train ourselves that we have to be forward a year ago.
Yep.
Because that's what 1 Corinthians says. We had to be forward a year ago. We have a lot of things we haven't worked on. A lot of things we haven't changed. We have enough things to work on us until Christ comes back. But we like to tell ourselves we've done enough. And then when you start saying that, the Most High starts cursing you. Then all of a sudden you're mad at the Most High because He's not giving you what you want.
I've been righteous.
But you ain't put the work and you ain't done enough. That's the secret to why we teach what we teach. To avoid being bitter like Asa. Yes, sir?
So do we keep like this like highlight reel or inventory of our accomplishments, our spiritual accomplishments? Is that kind of like what leads to it? And we keep in all these battles I've won. Is spending too much time thinking on your accomplishments?
I think it's more of I've done enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that people think there's a ceiling to change.
Right.
There's a ceiling to growth. I overcame this. Why do I got to keep going? Because they ask the question, why do you have to keep changing? Why do I got to keep changing? Why do I have to keep inconveniencing myself? And and you can tell that was Asa's mindset, because the Most High said you're going to always be in wars. Because you're looking for convenience. You want to do a little work and stop. This is for the person who follows the law, isn't a wicked person, does good for a period of time, and just decides to coast for the rest of his life. That's awesome.
And that's what I was gonna say. In Luke 12, it talks about that man that thought to himself, what should I do with my barns? With my, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna build.
I've done all this work.
Yeah, I've done all this work. He said, I'm gonna build greater, and then I'm gonna store all my fruits, and then I'm gonna take mine ease, and I'm gonna eat and drink and take mine ease. I thought I can get to a point where I can relax now.
Yep.
And I thought I can get to a point where I can take a load off and enjoy my life now.
Yep.
Now I can start. I've served the Most High. Now I can do the things that I want to do.
Yes.
And it's a semi-retirement mentality.
Yes.
I gave this to the Most High, and that should be acceptable to the Most High. Now let me live my life and enjoy what I want and pursue the things that I want to do in my life. It's still my life versus the Most High.
It's that mentality coupled with that Pharisee praying to the Most High and thanking Him for not having these issues that other people have.
Right.
Because it's the same mindset. Because if I'm looking down on the weak and the sick and their battles that they face, I forget the fact that I'm weak and sick at a higher level.
Yep.
If I have to always remind myself that I'm still weak and sick. But if I keep looking at, oh man, I ain't tripping like that person's tripping.
Right.
That means I'm in the spirit.
Yeah.
Now what that means is you've just graduated from that level. But there's still more levels you haven't graduated
Your
from.
battle's coming right around the corner.
And you look just as bad as that weak person in the proper situation and circumstance. And can we all remind ourselves of that mentality? In the right given place, you sitting back here shivering and crying like a little girl too. So stop tripping. Everybody has their weak point and their breaking point. And can I be conscious of me pushing myself past those limitations? That's why you have to keep pushing yourself. This is what Moses says, when I am weak, I am strong. When I am put and pushed in my most vulnerable position is when you know how strong you are in Christ. But when you don't put yourself in these weak and vulnerable positions, like what applying the spirit of wisdom really means, you start just when you get to a certain level, you just start making the prudent choices, the prudent moves, the moves that avoid difficulties and challenges and stressors and pressure. And you can't ever get to a point where you just take the prudent path.
Well, you know, that's what Christ said, that he said he has aught against us in Revelation.
Yes.
He said because we lost our first love.
Yep.
Because when you first got this knowledge, you was all in 100%, 1,000 miles an hour.
And I got to say this one thing, I'm not cutting you off. That was why the Most High was so pissed at Asa. Because he wasn't using prudence when he first came in. He was using what? Wisdom. He was making the right decision. He was going opposite of his flesh.
Tearing things down.
And then he stopped. He did the same thing when he fought the war against the Ethiopians. He relied on the Most High. He had faith. He went against himself and against his flesh, and then you want to plateau and take the easy route. You can't do that. He expected Asa to keep going and pursuing wisdom versus prudence because he already laid a foundation one way. I'm sorry.
No, that's every man's idea, is that when can I show the Most High that I've done enough to prove to him that I love him? And once I thought that I proved to the Most High that I love him enough, now I can go do my thing. I did this for the Lord, now it's time for me to do me. Everybody wants to insert themselves in the mix where, okay, and separate. Okay, I thought I did everything that was necessary to get the Most High on my side, and when I found out that the Most High is not on my side, now I'm bitter. Because I thought I did enough to show the Most High. I thought I proved my love to the Most High. And once the Most High is showing you, no, you haven't. You still got more to show. You still got more to grow. Then we get the mind frame of, well, you know what? I can't do nothing right, so I'm just gonna live my life. That's
what they do.
Now I'm not religious. Now I don't open the Bible no more.
Yep.
Now I don't study no more. Now I don't pray as often.
Don't give me no gun then.
Don't give
gun. Don't even give me the Bible no more. You something like this.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all saw that movie. It was great. He was just pouting. Don't even give it to me then. I'm sorry.
No, I don't even know the movie.
You be cool, man. It was great.
I didn't see it.
Anyway, keep going, y'all.
No, I didn't see it.
But what he's saying is, don't lose your first. Most High has an ought against us because we lost our first love.
No, that's all I want to say. That's what the Most High is looking at. That you can never get to the point where you can say I've done enough. You got to be ready to at all times, young or old. And that's why we just read that. Well, we didn't read about Eleazar, but whether you get old and when you get old, you can't ever lose that disposition where I'll leave everything behind to still show the Most High that I'm still about Him and not me, even until my death. You know what I'm saying? Because some people, they get to a certain point where they feel like I've achieved enough success, enough notoriety and recognition with the Most High that I'm privileged, and no man is privileged with the Most High.
Yep.
You know, nobody's privileged to where I don't have to go through certain battles. I shouldn't have to be, you know, I defeated that battle. Why do I got to be put in a position where I still got to prove myself to the Lord?
Yep.
You know, there's no privilege point with the Most High. You get privileges in this society, but with the Most High, that privilege is, did you go, remember, Christ is the measure.
Yep.
Christ is the standard. So, how far did Christ take it?
Well, I should probably
No,
thought that he
Christ took it.
that.
Christ took it to the death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. He's the standard. You're not your motives in this life, your achievements and successes in this life is not the standard. Christ is the standard. Christ took it to the death. So you have to put in your mind that I have to keep pleasing the Most High until death. And if you can accept that in your mind, then you won't have this Asa moment where you're now disenchanted and disenfranchised with the Most High because you got diseases and you thought you were right with the Most High.
Yep.
And you got ailments because you didn't go far enough. You got to take it. You got to take it to Christ is the standard.
Yep.
You got to take it to the death.
Yep. I got two verses: Ecclesiastes 4:28 and Ecclesiastes 43:30. Ecclesiastes and the Apocrypha 4:28.
Ecclesiastes chapter 4 verse 28.
This is everything chapter 1 said in a nutshell. Read that.
Strive for the truth unto death.
You gotta strive for truth unto death. Strive for the truth ain't just about striving for the 12 tribes act.
Right.
The 12 tribe sign act. And striving for Hebrew. You gotta strive to change. Strive to challenge yourself. Strive to grow until death. Without having a limit to how far you're gonna go. Read on.
And the Lord shall fight for thee.
Then the Most High is going to fight for thee. This coincides with the 2 Chronicles 16:9, when he said, listen, for the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong in the behalf of those of them whose heart is perfect towards him. Those people who are striving for the truth until death, he's looking for those people to fight for and to be strong for. But this is a lifelong push. You can't start strong and then ease up. You can't start pursuing wisdom, cleaving to the Most High, then slow down and start going the light, easy route, the prudent route, the safe route. That's not how the Most High is trying to teach us. And if you go safe, then he's going to make your life uncomfortable to pull you out of that safety. That's the purpose. The problem is when the Most High pulled him out of that safety to make him uncomfortable to keep pursuing, Asa decided to stop pursuing. He got stubborn and stopped pursuing. He said, well, forget it. If you're going to be uncomfortable, I'm still not going to change. I'm still not going to push myself. That was his response. He took the Most High trying to make him uncomfortable for his spiritual benefit and looked at it as the Most High was cursing and being unfair to him. Because he didn't understand that the Most High that keep putting that fire, whom the Lord loveth, he what? He chastens.
And he had to be uncomfortable anyway. The gout was the Most High's way of keeping, the war and the gout was the Most High's method of keeping him uncomfortable. Since you chose the comfort choice, you're going to be uncomfortable anyway.
Yep.
Less glory.
Yep. That's crazy, man. That's really crazy. He was forcing him to give more, be more disciplined, keep being active. But the problem is, like most of us, we don't look at it the right way. And we get bitter in how we look at how the Most High is teaching us. The lesson he's given us, we don't like that lesson and we think it's an unfair thing. Man, give me Ecclesiastes 43:30. I'm glad we're slowing down on this. I don't want to rush and do no more points. We're going to read some stuff in Josephus on this topic, and we're not changing. We're not going to because the next guy is dealing with Ahab and Elijah. We're going to really focus on this because this is important. So where are we at?
Ecclesiastes chapter 43 and verse 30. When ye glorify the Lord, exalt him as much as ye can.
That means don't ever stop. How do we glorify the Most High? Is in our works. in our faith, in our conduct, in our constant pursuit of pleasing Him. Read on.
For even yet will He far exceed.
Listen, He's more valuable than what we bring to the table. He's way beyond what we bring to the table. Because our righteousness is His what? Filthy rags. So what we're bringing to the table doesn't equal or justify the Most High giving us anything. That's another point. If our righteousness is of filthy rags, our best day still falls short of the Most High's glory.
So I don't have a right to stop.
So I don't have a right to get mad when my filthy rag effort isn't acknowledged the way I want it to be. How about that? Whatever we're bringing to the table, if He doesn't acknowledge it, it means it wasn't good enough. Can we accept that? A lot of times we can't accept that. That our righteousness is as filthy rags. So even if I'm on point and I'm not getting what I want, the Most High is telling me something, that there's more that's in me that I got to give. And that's so important for a person to understand. And how a person can digest that reality really determines the relationship you will eventually have towards the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
Can you learn to understand that that's the difference between a good son and a bad son? I don't know about y'all. I don't know if y'all have seen dynamics with fathers and sons when a father pushes his son because he sees more in him. Now, what does that son do when he's pushed further? Does he get angry? Does he get mad? Does he give less? That means he's being a bad son. That happens all the time in father-son dynamics. When that father sees that son could do more, and then he keeps pushing him, and that son gets angry and rebellious to this father, and he goes in opposite direction of him. Yeah, maybe the father could have sat back and lightened things up. But what does it show about that son? The same thing it shows about what's inside of us when the Most High is pushing us, and we choose not to see it in the pure light. We choose not to see that the Most High is only pushing us because He loves us. He's not giving me what I want because He loves me, and He knows if He gives me what I want, I'll miss the bigger picture lesson. And if we can learn to accept that dynamic, we can continue to be good sons in the eyes of Heavenly Father. Because ultimately that's what it is. So, read verse 30 again, 43 and 30.
Verse 30, when ye glorify the Lord, exalt Him as much as ye can, for even yet will He far exceed. And when ye exalt Him, put forth all your strength, and be not weary, for ye can never go far enough.
You can't be weary in well-doing. You can't get tired of doing things the right way. You can't get tired of pursuing wisdom. The thing is this: if you're capable of pursuing wisdom, why choose prudence? And this is what the Most High was saying when I said, why choose the prudent method when you're capable of operating with wisdom? Why would you do that?
And the Most High took it personally. Like, why'd you give me less?
Well, that's the point. That's the point. Like, if you were only capable of showing prudence and you've lived your whole life in fear, the Most High wouldn't respond to Asa that way. He's like, you've shown courage to stand up against these idol worshipers in your country. You've shown courage to sit back here and put wicked sodomites to death. You've shown courage to stand up and go against your mother and eradicate her wickedness. That takes courage and fortitude and a love for the Most High and an aspect of you. Who shall rise up against the evildoers? Who shall stand up against the workers of iniquity? That's what Psalms 94 and 16 says. Because in order to do all those things, it takes courage. And then you took courage to praise the Heavenly Father and pray to the Most High when you were outnumbered against the Ethiopians. But now here, you chump out and go soft and go diplomatic and go the paperwork route, the numbers route. Like, dude, you've been making all the right choices. Then you soften up now? What are you doing? You made a foolish play. You have it in you. It's a father that knows the man has in him, and he just sit back here and just fell short of the expectation. And I was like, man, you stop giving. And then that son got mad that his father was upset with him. And he never learned the lesson. You understand that? Yes, sir.
Hebrews 11:6 says, without faith it is impossible to please him. So when he started relying on prudence, and solely prudence, that's when he got comfortable. Prudence, like you said earlier, Chef Juan, is a virtue, but it's useful in certain situations, but when you just get comfortable just using prudence, it doesn't require faith.
And he had already shown, and he had already elevated past the prudence aspect. He already showed that his actions were above that. Constantly he showed that.
Mark chapter 10, verse 21.
Okay.
Mark chapter 10, verse 21.
Mark chapter 10, verse 21.
Read that Hebrews 1 when you're done with Chef Shawana, right?
Then Yahushua, beholding him, loved him, and said unto him, one thing thou lackest.
He said he did what?
One thing thou lackest. Then Yahushua, beholding him, loved him, and said unto him.
What verse is that again?
Mark
chapter 10, verse 21.
He said, then Yahushua, beholding him, loved him, and said unto him what?
One thing thou lackest.
So, first of all, you love somebody, you tell them the truth. You love somebody, you tell them what the problem is. He said one thing. He said but Christ looked at this young man, beholding him, he loved him, and said what?
One thing thou lackest.
He said one thing that you're missing. Just like Asa, one thing you're missing, man. You've done all this, but you're still missing something. Read on.
Go thy way, sell whatever thou hast, or whatsoever thou hast, and give to the poor.
He said, sell everything you got. This is the young rich ruler. This is the young rich ruler that serves the Most High and follow the commandments. He said, but you do all those things to serve God, but you're still missing something. You know what he's missing? You're missing the ability to put your life in an uneven balance, or to put it in a position where you could be disposed of your comforts. He said, you're still missing something. You're missing the ability to endanger yourself and expose yourself to danger. He said, go sell everything you got and give it to who?
Give to the poor.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt have treasure in heaven.
He says, because you got treasure on earth, but you haven't stacked up enough treasure where?
In heaven.
Read on.
And come, take up the cross.
And then also take up the cross, which is your responsibility of doing what? Read.
And follow me.
Of doing what it takes to follow Christ, which is to be made uncomfortable for the sake of other people. Because that's what Romans 15:1 said. Ye that are strong, bear the infirmities of the weak, and to not please yourselves, for even Christ pleased not himself. So to take up the cross of Christ will be to cast forth your life, pick up the burdens of other people, and live to see them come to health. Read on.
Verse 22. And he was sad at that saying.
Yeah, he was what?
And he was sad at that saying.
Yeah, that's not what everybody wants to hear. Everybody don't want to hear the real truth about what it takes to serve Christ. Everybody doesn't want to hear that. Everybody want to hear the bad news. I thought I could serve the Most High in Christ in my capacity and still be accepted. I thought I could serve the Most High in Christ according to what I read in the Bible, and I thought that was enough.
My comfort.
It was, but based upon my comfort on my time scale. On my time scale and on my comfort. Read on.
And went, read that again, verse 22. And he was sad at that saying.
And he was what?
Sad at that saying.
Go ahead.
And went away grieved.
And he went away what?
Grieved.
Why did he go away grieved?
Because he wasn't willing to. He wasn't willing to do what Christ asked him to do. Told me to do. It's like, man, really? I gotta give up everything.
Yeah, you know what? He didn't mind following the commandments, loving the Lord with all his heart, all his mind, and all his strength, and loving his neighbor as himself. He didn't mind honoring the Sabbath, keeping it holy. He didn't learn, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal. He said, I've been doing all these commandments from my youth. He said, but Christ told him the truth. This is still what you're missing.
You know I had to do all that too.
Yeah, this. If you really want the Most High's approval, then you got to take it to this level.
Yep.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Now, other people, the Most High says, if you want to get to the kingdom of heaven, just follow along. Certain people, like the sinners and publicans, he says, stop sinning. For this guy, you got to do more.
You got to do more.
Everybody based off what they're at, where they're at in their spirit. They got to give more based off where they're at.
Based on like strengths and weaknesses.
And where they're at spiritually. Because the sinners, there's certain people that just can't get off of drugs. And their whole life battle was to get off drugs.
Yeah, true.
And just to stop sinning. Stop breaking the law. Others are like this guy who learned the law and was sharp in that. And he didn't have those same obstacles the sinner had. Now you still owe more too. There's still usury on you too. Now you got to give your life. You got all this talent to give of your damn life.
You got all this ability.
Then give your whole life
all
up there.
this know-how, all this knowledge, all these resources. You possess all these things, and now it's being asked to put that on the line for Christ and the Most High.
And that's your next level of growth.
And that's where that man's level of growth. This man, he was grieved that he had to hear that kind of news. Read on.
For he had great possession.
Because he had great possessions. Read on.
Verse 23. And Yahushua looked round about.
And just like Christ always does, just like Yahushua always does, he takes every situation and he uses it as a lesson. He takes every situation and uses it as a teaching instrument, as a moment to instruct. Read.
And said unto his disciples.
Go ahead.
How hardly shall they that have riches enter into the kingdom of the Most High?
Why? Why is it hard?
Because you feel like you got everything you want. Like you got everything you need. Like what more do I need?
Right.
I'm comfortable. I'm straight. I don't need nothing else.
Right? Because what I want, what I don't want to give up is what I don't want to lose.
Why put forth any more effort?
Why put forth any more effort?
I'm straight.
And there's a deceitfulness of accumulating riches, resources, comfort. It's deceitful because it deceives you in the idea that I've reached a certain level and I shouldn't have to give it anymore, and I'm happy now. But you should never get in a position where this is why the scripture say riches are deceitful, because it deceives me in the idea that I'm happy. I've accumulated this type of life. I've created this. I've built this life for myself. Now you're asking me to give up this life that I built, this level of comfort that I've built, this position that I've built, these resources that I've built. You're asking me to throw all that away? Yes, that's exactly what the Most High is asking.
Can I put one verse?
And a lot of people can't do that.
In the same chapter, verse 17.
And Mark chapter 10, we'll jump up to verse 17. And when he was gone forth into the way, there came one running, and kneeled to him, and asked him, Good master, what shall I do that I may inherit eternal life?
The funny thing is, he knew he was lacking something.
Yeah.
He knew there was more for him to give. His answer is in verse 17, 18 and 19 was he followed all the commandments. But he knew that wasn't enough. He knew that wasn't enough of a challenge for him. There's certain people that can get this knowledge, get the breakdowns, get the scriptures.
Sharp.
I can sit back here and run circles to this whole Sabbath thing. You'll see men around you in the truth that struggle on simpler things that you don't have a problem with. Then you ask yourself, damn, is it this easy to get to the kingdom? I can run circuits around most people. But you know what?
If I'm comparing myself to other people.
If I'm comparing myself to other people, this is easy. Why is everybody struggling on these simple things? But a sheer fact that he came to ask Christ, what is it going to take for me to get to the kingdom? Knew that him sitting back here and following the law and going through those regular routines wasn't enough. There was more that he's going to have to get challenged for him to get to the kingdom. So for a guy with all these abilities to get to the kingdom, you got to give it all up. That's the catch. You can't, because for the people who are battling real addictions and real internal issues, real self-hatred, real self-loathing,
they don't got nothing to give anyway.
All they can do is overcome that one or two major obstacles in their life, and that's enough based off their life and the things they've gone through. But if you're sitting there, you're shooting through things, you're quickly changing this and making adjustments to that, you got to get a challenge that's more suited to where your skill set is.
And that means more loss.
More damn loss. More putting yourself in scenarios where you have to be humble and depending on him. Because for all your ability, you got to rescind that power and serve like everybody else.
Yep.
And nobody can get around that.
You know, you realize you're not at an advantage at all.
You're at a greater disadvantage.
Yeah, exactly.
Because for all of your ability, you got to serve greater.
And lose more.
And lose more. And that's the catch. And that's the cost of being like in sports, it's a 5'2" athlete in baseball a lot. It's for the cost of all the talent, you got to serve more. In the world, the greater talent you get, the more you get your butt kissed. But in the Christ's world, with the more talent, you got to be a greater servant. That was why Christ was so damn hard on the Pharisees. With all your learning this, your reading and all your smartness and all your parchment banging, long phalangeries, you owe more. How can you not in these streets teaching these people in the slums? Why aren't you suffering their sickness? You want to walk around here with martinis and be all cool with the cool kids over here and not have to deal with the damn problems of the people. Because the crazy thing is for a person who's highly motivated, type A, wants to do this and go here and go there, the challenge is to stop your goals, stop all of your abilities and talents, stop the pursuit of your money, and slow down and go in the hood and deal with the sick people. And deal with their pace and their issues and their ups and downs and their limitations. That will break most men.
Yeah.
But this is what the more Christ was telling the Pharisees. You're such hypocrites. You think you're on this level, but you're avoiding the real work. You're avoiding the real work. The public is the sinners. You want to sit back and skip all these things because you're talented and you're sharp and you have some common sense and you think that you're above everybody else. With all your talent, you got to commit more, give up more, suffer more.
You know, it costs more. Yeah, to please the Most High, because you got more to offer. The Most High has everybody's particular battle tailor-made for them. Nobody's getting over easy. Nobody has it easy. But you know, it's easier for you, bro, because you got these abilities. Because the guy on the low end scale that's looking at the brother that can pick it up at a fast pace, he's looking at him like, yeah, it's easier for you, not for me, because where I came from.
Yep. I came from the mean streets of wherever the hell.
So now he's thinking that, well, I'm at a disadvantage because I'm not as further advanced as you are in your ability to pick things up. It's harder for me to understand. So then for the other guy, he can't look down on the other man and say, well, you know what? I don't understand why y'all struggling.
Yep.
Because you know what? Your battle's coming too on the back end. I don't understand why y'all operate at such a slow pace. Well, guess what? Your battle is right around the corner. Mm-hmm. Everybody's particular situation is tailor-made and custom-made by the Most High. And nobody's above anybody else.
And that was what Christ was teaching. That was what he was painting clearly, where his expectations for the Pharisees were so much higher than the sinner that can't do right to the world. For the quote-unquote can't do right, just stop sinning, man. Just stop sinning.
And to them, that's a mountain.
That's a mountain of a damn task.
Yeah.
Stop sinning. Damn.
It's calling me.
That's my point. But the Pharisees give you your life. Give your comfort.
And that's a mountain too.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the difference between the 1 talent and the 5 talent. Everybody got to double up or you ain't going to make it. That's scary. And that was what was banging on Asa. You did all these great works. You know you have faith in you. You did it.
Yeah, it's that started from the bottom that we're here.
Yeah.
But now you gotta leave where you here and go back to the bottom.
That's that remix. They don't want the
remix. Yeah. They don't want the remix. They ain't know there was more to that song.
Got to the top, then I fell.
Yeah. Now you got to walk back down to the bottom.
Exactly.
And that's the hard part. And people don't want to do that. Because they say, well, shit, it took me this long to get to this point.
Yep.
Now you want me to give that up and go back down?
Yep.
Come
Like I said, but this is the dynamic that Christ was explaining that Asa failed miserably in. Woo! That's good stuff, man. Let's go back. Matter of fact, let's finish Chronicles 16 verse 13 down and 14. 13 and 14.
2 Chronicles 16. 14. 2 Chronicles chapter 16. Actually, we didn't read 13, did we?
Yeah, 13 and 14.
God, 2 Chronicles. Back at 12?
Yeah.
2 Chronicles chapter 16, verse 12. And Asa in the 30th and 9th year, of his reign, was diseased in his feet, until his disease was exceeding great. Yet in his disease he sought not to the Most High, but to the physicians.
Man, the Most High was still giving him time, bro.
Yep.
Still gave him time.
He gave him 2 more years after this stuff got bad to make the change.
Right. To repent.
Yep. Read on.
Verse 13. And Asa slept with his fathers, and died in the 41st year of his reign.
And never maxed his potential. Read on.
Verse 14. And they buried him in his own sepulchres, which he had made for himself in the city of David.
What I'm also seeing the theme is, it's not the sin that defines the man, it's what you do after the sin. Do you rise back up like David did? David sinned, but he rose back up and kept fighting and maintained a pure outlook even after the fall. The Most High is really judging that out here. He's really judging the response. Because you know why? When Solomon went left, he never changed, man.
He let it go.
He just faded out, bro. He never changed, he never responded, and that's why he died unceremoniously. Even though he did a lot of good. You got Asa, he just died unceremoniously. He never repented. He never made the changes. He ran out of time, he didn't figure it out. Because he didn't have the humility to figure it out. That's what seeking the Lord is. Ask, seek, knock. That's where he didn't seek the Lord. He didn't ask, he didn't pursue, he didn't figure out why the Most High is just cursing me like this. Why does he keep giving me these aggravations that just make my whole life uncomfortable? It's for real, man. Listen,
there was an answer.
Yeah.
There's an answer.
Yeah.
But like you said, is a person humble enough and also willing to give the Most High the type of offering that it takes to get back in good standings with him? Because there's a certain level of offerings that the Most High requires where you can get back in good standings with the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
But are you going to squat and waste and abuse that time? Or are you going to, say, you know what? I can't live like this another day. And I need for me and my relationship with the Father to be strong again, to be appropriate again. You know what I'm saying? And every man should want to go back to that point where I need to reconnect myself with the Father before it's too late. You know what I'm saying? Because that's ultimately what Romans 13:11 says. It says what? Romans 13:11. It says
Romans chapter 13 verse 11.
Go ahead.
And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep.
Because you know what? If I've been in a position where I know I haven't been given the Most High enough, and He hasn't been blessing me, what time is more readily available than the present time right now to get back in good standings with the Most High? He says, and that knowing the time, go ahead.
That now it is high time to awake out of sleep.
So yeah, if you want to get right with the Most High, this is the best time to do it right now. Why is that?
It says, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believe.
Because the second coming of Christ is right around the corner. We're at the end of the world. You see what's going on worldwide, globally. It's not like all the signs isn't evident that we're at the end. So what better time than to take the moment right now to reestablish your connection with the Most High? Just like Asa had the opportunity to, but he chose not to. Then that's a bad decision. That's a bad choice not to get right. It says for our salvation is what?
Is nearer than when we believe.
Read on.
The night is far spent.
It says, yeah, when all your times that you had to make those mistakes, you can't be making them same mistakes.
Yeah.
You did dirt in the past. You got to discontinue the dirt. Read.
The day is at hand.
It's time to walk in the day, and it's going to explain what that means. Read on.
Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness.
Whatever dirt you got that you need to purge out of yourself, this is the best time to do it right now. Read on.
And let us put on the armor of light.
Go ahead.
Let us walk honestly.
It says that what he's saying is, let me be honest now about where I'm at with the Most High. Am I really is me and the Most High's relationship really as tight as it could be? Am I as confident with the Most High as I should be? Am I sure that I'm giving the Most High the best of what I have to offer? Am I giving the Most High the best sacrifice? Everybody should be asking themselves that question, because this is the time to do it. Read on.
Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering.
Not in rioting, partying, arguing, drinking, being influenced, not in chambering, not hopping from woman to woman, man to man, relationship to relationship, sleeping with this person, sleeping with that person. Read on.
Not in chambering and wantonness.
Go ahead.
Not in strife and envy.
Go ahead. Not looking at what I don't have and look at what they got that I don't got. Read on.
But put ye on the Lord Yahushai, and make not provision for the flesh.
And he said, make not provision for what?
For the flesh.
So this is the best time to depart from my flesh and my desires. From appealing to what I enjoy and what I want in my life, in my own personal pursuits. Go ahead.
To fulfill the lust thereof.
So I got to put away my lust. It's not about me right now. At this point in time, if it's about salvation, and the salvation is the goal, then it's no longer about my pleasure. My life is not committed to my pleasure anymore. It's the best time to cast that off and put on Christ. Christ is about sacrificing himself for the sake of other people. Sacrificing himself for the benefit of the people around him. That's what Christ is about. That's it.
I want to pull a verse, not a verse, it's a statement in this commentary that deals with Asa too. It says, though Asa was generally an upright king, his reign was marred by his reliance on the ungodly Ben-Hadad and failure to trust the Lord in his illness. So it was a lack of trust, one. And it was also the fact that he relied on a negative person that didn't serve the Most High to help bail him out of a situation. The crazy thing is Jehoshaphat did the same thing. His son is Jehoshaphat, and his son relied on what was the king? It was Ahab. Jehoshaphat and Ahab came together to try to fight. I think it was the same Syrian people. Point is that him and his father had the same issue of relying on negative, wicked people and thinking the Most High was going to honor that also. If we've sat back here and make a decision to serve the Most High, then we have to have enough faith to not join in with people who aren't about serving the Most High like we are. But sometimes, what ends up happening in our life? The convenient out is to align ourselves with a negative person because it's the quickest way out of our situation.
Yeah.
Versus sitting back here waiting and allowing the Most High to come through and send us the right help. Now also the lesson is all help isn't what? All help isn't good help. All assistance isn't good assistance. If the assistance is coming from some negative, wicked people that you have to do business with, in order to overcome something, it's best to wait and sit back until the Most High provides a better solution for the whole body. That's also the lesson. You understand? Okay. And that's not talking about making friends in the mammon. It's not talking about making friends of the mammon of unrighteousness like in Matthew talks about. It's not that. It's about sitting back here and having to work side by side with a person who ain't trying to serve the Most High and expect the Most High to honor that transaction because it's convenient and easy. Okay? Okay. Y'all have anything else before we go further?
You want to finish the last verse in 2 Chronicles 16? 1 second.
Because, okay, so what would you do in a situation where you are working with someone that is clearly not in alignment with the standards of the Most High, the standards that you're trying to follow, you're doing your best to follow, but that's already an established relationship?
Well, my thing is this: if you're talking about like just an employee relationship, I'm working with the person as an employee. That's different. You know what I mean? We can't control who we have to work with at a job.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm talking about I guess it's more for us. Like, we have our own business, and we're sitting back here, and if there's a time when we might need an opportunity to fall our way, do we sit back here and go partner up with somebody who's not about serving the Most High? Or do you wait for the Most High to send us a better option? That's where my mind is when I was explaining this point. But if it's an employee situation, you're working a job, and you have people that you got to work with at the job, you can't really get around that. You know what I mean?
True.
I'm going to walk away from El Diablo because he smokes. They must get around. I just did this right.
Yeah, I know.
I just did a
That
finger.
finger, man.
I just one finger. It wasn't like 2 and 3. It wasn't. Was it? It came out at a quarter level, right? Did it? It wasn't a full extension, was it? It wasn't bad.
We can't do it, bro.
Now we have the police.
We gotta stop it.
It wasn't even like crazy, wasn't it?
Gang sign unit.
I don't want to do with my hands, huh?
You have it. We like can't do it.
What do you do like this? What do I do with my hands? I don't know what to do with my hands when I'm teaching. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's read verse 14, man.
Second Chronicles chapter 16.
All love,
Finishing up 16, verse 14. And they buried him in his own sepulchres, which he had made for himself in the city of David, and laid him in the bed which was filled with sweet odors and diverse kinds of spices prepared by the apothecary's art. And they made a very great burning for him.
Good man.
Okay, so like I said, he was good, but listen, there was a great lesson in what he did not do for all of us to learn.
You say he didn't fully trust in the Most High all the way.
No doubt, bro.
You know, and that shows that the Most High wants truth in the inward parts. He don't want half of you. He wants all of you. He wants all your commitment, not just a portion of your commitment. That was an expensive lesson right there.
Yes, it was. So we're going to read paragraph 4, and that'll probably be it. Let's go Josephus, book 8, chapter 12, paragraph 4.
Josephus, book 8, chapter 12, paragraph 4, page 235.
Okay.
Paragraph 4, line 304. Everybody ready? Okay.
Okay. I'm ready, sir.
Paragraph 4, line 304. Whereupon Asa was afraid of the attempts the enemy might make upon him.
And this goes back to when Baasha set up that encampment in Ramah, which was an eighth of a mile from Jerusalem. So he was afraid. Read on.
And considering with himself what mischiefs this army that was left in Ramah might do to the country over which he reigned.
Like we explained. Read on.
He sent ambassadors to the king of the Damascus with gold and silver, desiring his assistance, and putting him in mind that we have a friendship together from the times of our forefathers. Remember where?
Well, sure. The forefathers. Listen, don't forget, his mom and them, his auntie and them, they have family linked up in Syria. Okay, don't forget, David's wife was Syrian. Read on.
It seems like he's kind of kissing butt. Right?
Of course.
Yeah.
He's like, Milish.
You remember?
Much respect to you.
Back in the day.
Here is gold and money. Don't forget we were friends before. Keep going. Yeah.
Line 305. So he gladly received that sum of money and made a league with him and broke the friendship he had with Baasha and sent the commanders of his own forces into the cities that were under Baasha's dominion and ordered them to do them mischief. So they went and burnt some of them and spoiled others. Ijon and Dan and Abelmaim and many others. Line 306. Now when the king of Israel heard this, he left off building and fortifying Ramah and returned presently to assist his own people under the distresses they were in. But Asa made use of the materials that were prepared for building that city, for building in the same place 2 strong cities. the one which was called Geba, and the other Mizpah.
Now it's around Benjamin area. Read on.
Line 307. So that after this, Baasha had no leisure to make expeditions against Asa, for he was prevented by death, and was buried in the city Tirzah. And Elah, his son, took the kingdom, who, when he had reigned 2 years, died, being treacherously slain by Zimri.
So now you're starting to see this constant repetitive scenario of betrayal. One guy gets in power, he gets taken out. It's a constant usurping of authority. Don't forget the prophecy about Baasha was that he and his family were going to die. Him and his posterity were going to die like Jeroboam and his posterity died by his hand. So now we got Zimri, which was Baasha's son, is killed. And now you would imagine all of the other sons are killed at this time also. Read on.
God,
Isn't
line 307.
being treacherously slain.
Being treacherously slain by Zimri, the captain of half his army.
So his captain, the military captain, took out Zimri. Okay, read on.
Line 308. For when he was at Arza, his steward's house, he persuaded some of the horsemen that they were under him to assault Elah. And by that means he slew him when he was without his armed men and his captains. For they were all busied in the siege of Gibbethon, a city of the Philistines.
So we can go a little further, but I don't know if we want to go any further, man.
And on that note, we want to keep the lesson just.
Yeah, let's keep the lesson fresh in the mind. There was a lot of meat in that story of Asa, and you know the next paragraph 5 and 6, they're just dealing with a couple minor things in the Northern Kingdom and some quick coups. Two years for what's his name, Zimri. Couple years for this guy. A little fluctuation until we get to Ahab. Okay, and so we'll get Ahab and Jehoshaphat, and that's when we really get into some more meat. Ahab, Jehoshaphat, and Elijah, the Tishbite. So what we're going to do now is shut it down on the class aspect and go now into the reading, send our prayers up, and we go about the rest of our Shabbat. Let me see. Amajim, Wapanya, Yerushalayim.
Rise and face, stand and face Jerusalem.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
Please listen to us right now.
Please listen to us right now.
Send Michael.
Send Michael.
And the righteous angels.
And the righteous angels.
To watch over.
To watch over.
Bless.
Bless.
Heal.
Heal.
Protect.
Protect.
And make strong.
And make strong.
The people of Yasharallah.
The people of Yasharallah.
Also send unto us.
Also send unto us.
Much knowledge.
Much knowledge.
Much understanding.
Much understanding.
Much patience.
Much patience.
Much faith.
Much faith.
Much brotherhood.
Much brotherhood.
And much love.
And much love.
Spiritual power.
Spiritual power.
And forgive all of our sins.
And forgive all of our sins.
Yahweh Shai, come quickly.
Yahweh Shai, come quickly.
For in thee.
For in thee
is our hope.
is our hope.
Always.
Always.
And forever.
And forever.
Amen.
Amen.
Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Hahawa. Nathalanawa. Hathawara.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the law.
Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Hahawa. Nathalanawa. Award.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the light to see.
Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai.
Hahawa. Nathalanawa. Ha'ayah. Ha'ayin.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai,
that gives us the ram's horn to call the people.
Barakatah Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Barakatah Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Hawa'ah. Lathanana. Shaman. Zayat. Lamashah. Yasharallah.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the olive oil to anoint Israel.
Psalms 92. It is a good thing to give thanks unto the Lord.
It is a good thing to give thanks unto the Lord.
And to sing praise unto thy name.
And to sing praise unto thy name.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
To show forth thy loving kindness in the morning.
To show forth thy loving kindness in the morning.
And thy faithfulness every night.
And thy faithfulness every night.
Upon an instrument of 10 strings.
Upon an instrument of 10 strings.
And upon the psaltery.
And upon the psaltery.
Upon the harp.
Upon the harp.
With the solemn sound.
With the solemn sound.
For thou, Yahweh,
For thou, Yahweh,
hast made me glad through thy work.
hast made me glad through thy works.
I will triumph.
I will triumph
in the works of thy hands.
in the works of thy hands.
O Yahweh,
O Yahweh,
how great are thy works.
how great are thy works.
And thy thoughts are very deep.
And thy thoughts are very deep.
A brutish man knoweth not.
A brutish man knoweth not.
Neither doth a fool understand this.
Neither doth the fool understand this.
When the wicked springeth the grass.
When the wicked springeth the grass.
And when all the workers of iniquity do flourish.
And when all the workers of iniquity do flourish.
It is that they shall be destroyed forever.
It is that they shall be destroyed forever.
But thou, Yahweh,
But thou, Yahweh,
art most high forevermore.
art most high forevermore.
For lo, thine enemies.
For lo, thine enemies.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
For lo, thine enemies shall perish.
For lo, thine enemies shall perish.
All the workers of iniquity.
All the workers of iniquity
Shall be scattered.
shall be scattered.
But my horn shalt thou exalt.
But my horn shall thou exalt.
Like the horn of a unicorn.
Like the horn of a unicorn.
I shall be anointed with fresh oil.
I shall be anointed with fresh oil.
My eye also shall see.
My eye also shall see.
My desire.
My desire.
On my enemies.
On my enemies.
And my ears shall hear.
And my ears shall hear.
My desire.
My desire.
Of the wicked.
Of the wicked.
That rise up against me.
That rise up against me.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree.
He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon.
He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon.
Those that be planted in the house of the Lord.
Those that be planted in the house of the Lord.
Shall flourish in the courts of our power.
Shall flourish in the courts of our power.
They shall still bring forth fruit in old age.
They shall still bring forth fruit in old age.
They shall be fat and flourishing.
They shall be fat and flourishing.
To show that the Lord is upright.
To show that the Lord is upright.
He is my rock.
He is my rock.
There is no unrighteousness in him.
And there is no unrighteousness in him.
Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Psalms 133. Shayar.
Shayar.
Hama'ayawa.
Hama'ayawa.
Laduad.
Laduad.
Hana.
Hana.
Ma. Tawab.
Tawab.
Wama.
Wama.
Na'ayam.
Na'ayam.
Shabbat.
Shabbat.
Akim.
Akim.
Gum.
Gum.
Yachad.
Yachad.
Hasheman.
Hasheman.
Hatawab.
Hatawab.
Ayil.
Ayil.
Hara'ash.
Hara'ash.
Yarad.
Yarad.
Ayil.
Ayil.
Hazakwan.
Hazakwan.
Zakwan.
Zakwan.
Aharan.
Aharan.
Shayarad.
Shayarad.
Ayil.
Ayil.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Hanawathiwa. Kator.
Kator.
Haramwan.
Haramwan.
Shayarad.
Shayarad.
Ayil.
Ayil.
Haroria.
Haroria.
Zayawan.
Zayawan.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Sham.
Sham.
Hazawa.
Hazawa.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Habaraka.
Habaraka.
Kayaya.
Kayaya.
I. Al-Walam. Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Ba'Shem Yahushai. Psalms 133 in English. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord commanded the blessing, even life evermore. Amen.
Amen. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba'Shem.
Ba'Shem.
Yahushai.
Yahushai.
Rakhneo.
Rakhneo.
Washrali.
Washrali.
Rabiat.
Rabiat.
Support.
Support.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba'Shem.
Ba'Shem.
Yahushai.
Yahushai.
Rakhneo.
Rakhneo.
Washrali.
Washrali.
Rabiat.
Rabiat.
Support. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba'Shem.
Ba'Shem.
Yahushai.
Yahushai.
Rakhneo.
Rakhneo.
Washrali.
Washrali.
Rabiat.
Rabiat.
Support. Yahweh. Ba'Shem. Yahushai.
Yahushai.
Rakhneo.
Rakhneo.
Washrali.
Washrali.
Rabiat.
Rabiat.
Support. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahushai. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahushai. All knowledge. all wisdom, all understanding, all love, all patience, all mercy, all power from your house. All power from your house. All power from your house. By show, Yahweh Shai, the water, Yad, Aman. Circle. Mom Shabbat, everybody.
Saluting out in the heavenly order, Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, Wokiyah Sha'ala, Men of Israel, Muslim, Baruch,
Yahweh Shai,
Kwame Shalom, Kwame Shalom. Turn your face to sisters. Sisters, please stand.
Mom Shabbat.
Saluting out the daughters of Zion, Men of Israel, Muslim, Baruch,
Yashmatap, dismissed. Voila. All right, everybody. Shalom to what I'm tuning in. See y'all on Monday.